I'm definitely the unluckiest person in history. Even though I command an army of 30 million, my classmates still make fun of me. They call me a useless loser, just because I transmigrated to this world, where everyone can become a god. Other people's familiars are thunderbirds or wolf riders. The worst is even a dwarf army. But my familiar is the most worthless giant locusts. The only good thing is they're even more prolific than sows. But what's the use of that? Just when I thought I'd never have a chance to rise up, I accidentally discovered I had an overpowered talent. Life sacrifice. I can sacrifice living creatures and exchange them for something of equal value. A daring idea exploded in my mind. What if I combine the locust's terrifying breeding ability with life sacrifice? What would happen? I started raising locusts day and night. I spent 200,000 faith points to activate. Growth acceleration. In 14 days, half of 20 million larvae hatched, successfully matured and laid more eggs. As the locust population skyrocketed, my faith points grew like crazy. I didn't hesitate to reinvest all my profits and reinvested them again. Growth acceleration. Soon, the number of adult locusts in my divine domain reached an astonishing 2.5 billion. I knew the time to start the sacrifice had come. A huge blood-red magic circle appeared above my domain. I kept only 10 million adults to maintain the species. All the remaining 2.49 billion locusts were thrown into the circle. Countless life energies instantly merged into the circle, becoming tokens to exchange for rewards. It was over. 3 options appeared before me. Option 1, 10,000 goblins, elite warriors. Option 2, fountain of life. It can nourish the environment. Option 3, level 1 relic heart of explosion. I thought for 5 seconds and quickly made my choice. Option 3, goblins are just consumables. They can't solve the root problem. The fountain of life is a necessity, but it can't stop the bullying I'm facing right now. Only the heart of explosion can continuously power up my core familiars. After I succeeded, I instantly loaded it into the core. In an instant, a violent surge of energy spread through my locust swarm. Among the remaining 10 million locusts, 10,000 developed fiery red markings on their bodies. Their bodies doubled in size. I grabbed one of the explosive locusts, commanded it to self-destruct. Boom! Its power was about the same as a big firecracker. One alone definitely can't kill a dwarf. But if I pile up the numbers, it might just work. By now it was already early morning. Less than 8 hours until school started, which translates to less than 4 months in Oracle time. So basically less than 4 months. I triggered growth acceleration again and rapidly boosted the explosion locust's reproduction. In the blink of an eye, the bell rang for class. I was instantly teleported to the classroom. Qin Shuang strutted over pridefully to my desk. She put her hands on her hips and yelled, "Have you made up your mind yet? Be my slave. I promise no one will dare bully you until we graduate high school. No one will dare lay a hand on you." That posture, as if being her slave was a supreme honor. I frowned. I refused. Qin Shuang screamed, her face full of disbelief. "Do you even know what you're saying? Without my protection, those people are going to squeeze you dry. Maybe things are as you say, but I still refuse." I looked at her coldly. I, Han Wu, may have no power or influence, but I have my own dignity. Thanks for the offer. Please leave. After Qin Shuang stormed off, school bully Zhang Bin and 2 lackeys surrounded me. "Han Wu, did you bring the 100 god power I asked for?" The lackeys chimed in. "Hand it over quick. Don't make us smash your divine domain." The other students in the elite class were watching like it was a show.
I looked up at Zhang Bin.
"I've got no god power, just this one life. Do you want it? Looks like you have a death wish. You don't think I'll lead my dwarf army to destroy your domain? Then bring it on." I accepted the challenge without hesitation. Zhang Bin was stunned. The students around us started to cheer. He sneered and pulled out an invasion card worth 10 god power. "Since you want to die, don't blame me." He activated the invasion card, which turned into a blinding light that engulfed me. My consciousness instantly sank into my divine domain. Desert zone. A gigantic portal 100 meters wide appeared. 5,000 fully armed dwarves marched out through fire. Zhang Bin's divine avatar floated in the sky above and roared, In the name of the dwarf god, I command you all to wipe out these fragile locusts and destroy the divine domain core. The dwarf legion surged forward with unstoppable momentum. By now, the entire class was using assist devices to enter spectator mode. Almost everyone thought the same thing. No one believed I had a chance. My divine avatar hovered high above. Below me, after 4 months in domain time, was a horde of over 100 million locusts bred over 2 generations. Of them, there were over 99.8 million regular locusts, and just over 200,000 elite explosive locusts. Seeing the dwarf army charge, I ordered the explosive locusts to attack. Red explosive locusts flew out from the swarm, gathering into a crimson cloud. The students watching all gasped in shock. They couldn't understand how my core lineup could have so many elite life forms. Zhang didn't have time to react. The explosive locusts rained down into the dwarves' ranks. Explosions went off non-stop. Smoke rose everywhere. When the smoke cleared, the scene stunned all the students watching. Most of the 5,000 dwarves were blown to bits on the spot, the survivors badly wounded. Only elite dwarves could still fight, but I still had 50,000 explosive locusts circling overhead, and a backup force of 99.8 million regular locusts. The outcome was clear instantly. Zhang hurriedly issued an oracle, telling any surviving dwarves to retreat to his domain. But there's no way I'd let them go. Taking advantage of the locust's ability to fly, I ordered the locusts in my domain to push through the portal and invade in reverse. A mass of 99.8 million regular locusts swept in like a black storm, flooded into Zhang domain, and destroyed everything they saw. Wherever the locusts went, nothing was left. If they ate dirt, they'd probably scrape 3 layers off his land. Zhang was heartbroken at the sight. Hurry! Order your familiars out of my domain. Zhang yelled at me. I ignored all his shouting. Instead, I sent the explosive locusts to finish off any dwarves who weren't quite dead. As for the elite dwarves running away, they were my main targets. One after another, the explosive locusts detonated, blasting the elite dwarves and covering them with wounds. Their vitality bled away. Zhang got even more desperate. I give up! Just get your locusts out of my domain. Let my familiars retreat. I just sneered at him. Weren't you trying to destroy my domain core? If that's what you want. So it was only natural for me to smash your god domain core in return. That's only fair, isn't it? If you really dare to do it, my parents will never let you get away with it. My dad is a demigod, and my mom is about to become a demigod too. You're definitely no match for them. Zhang shouted angrily. A cold sneer spread across my face. You make it sound like if I spared you, they would just let me go. The next second, my eyes lit up. The ordinary locust that invaded Zhang god domain had already found his god domain core. At any cost, snatch his core for me. I issued a divine command to my followers. Countless locusts fearlessly launched themselves at the god domain core. Even if it meant dying from the impact, they didn't hesitate. This move completely terrified Zhang. If his god domain core was shattered, he would be stuck as a low-level divine being for life, never to rise again. Stop now. I admit defeat. I promise I will never bully you again. If you want anything, just say the word. I'll give you whatever you want. Just please stop now. With a frosty tone. I don't want anything from you. The only thing I want is your death. Countless locusts continued their fierce assault on Zhang god domain core. A crack had already appeared. You're a mad dog. That's what you are, a mad dog. All Zhang felt now was regret, but he was powerless to change anything. All he could do was watch his core get destroyed bit by bit. Just then, a demigod avatar appeared above the god domain. It was homeroom teacher Liu Lishan. Han Wu. That's enough, you've already won. Why must you completely destroy him? Liu Lishan's authoritative voice rang out. A glimmer of hope suddenly appeared on Zhang face. As long as his god domain core wasn't destroyed, he could restore his god domain. If I don't get revenge, I, Zhang am no man. Meanwhile, my locust followers were still mercilessly ramming into Zhang god domain core. Han Wu, didn't you hear what I said? There was a hint of anger in Liu Lishan's voice. He hated students who didn't obey his orders. I finally responded. Mr. Liu, can I ask you a question? Why did you show up here? As the homeroom teacher, of course I can sense anything happening within my class. Alright, let me ask you this. When I was being beaten, extorted, and bullied by Zhang Bin, where were you then? Why didn't you show up? I continued to question him. Liu Lishan's face darkened. He obviously knew I was being bullied. But he didn't want to get involved. I had zero background, whereas Zhang Bin's family was about to have 2 demigods. He had no reason to fight with Zhang Bin's family for my sake. You stop first, and I'll give you a proper explanation. Liu Lishan tried to offer peace. Let me ask one last question. If I were the one getting my god domain core attacked today, would you step in to stop it? Liu Lishan had no answer. Alright, that's all I needed to know. At that very moment, the locust delivered the final blow to shatter the core. Crunch! Zhang Bin's god domain core was completely destroyed. His god domain instantly collapsed into several fragments. I moved swiftly, gathering up all the fragments. Then I coldly ordered them to leave. Mr. Liu, please leave my god domain. All the students forced out of spectator mode were shocked, amazed that I not only won the invasion, but even shattered Zhang Bin's core by force. Zhang Bin's face was pale as his god domain was smashed. He collapsed onto the ground. He was completely ruined. Meanwhile, as the victor of the invasion, I flashed away, teleporting straight home and skipping class. Arriving home, I went straight into the divine login pod to tally the results. That battle came at a hefty price. Fewer than 20,000 self-destruct locusts remained. There were just over 40 million ordinary locusts left. Looks like I'll have to breed more self-destruct locusts in the future, I muttered to myself. Right afterward, I took out my loot, the fragments of Zhang Bin's shattered divine jade. After assessing Zhang Bin's belongings, I fused the resource-enhanced fragments into myself. My god domain instantly expanded to 260 square kilometers. Then I fused some of his core fragments too, upgrading my god domain core to level 2. Besides that, I also acquired a level 1 sacred relic, the dwarf's hammer, and over 800 dwarf miners, which could be used as sacrificial materials if necessary, plus a bunch of iron equipment. A pretty bountiful haul, but I was well aware Zhang Bin's demigod father would probably make a fuss at school. The school would most likely turn me in. With my current power, I'd stand no chance in the hands of a demigod. I had to convert everything unnecessary into resources before they came knocking, turn everything I don't need into resources, and boost my combat strength as much as possible. After sorting everything out, I logged onto the god trading site and uploaded my idle lands and equipment. I specially marked the dwarf's hammer as trade only, not for sale, requesting a sacred relic related to explosions in exchange. Shortly after posting, the unused items sold, earning me 124 divine power, while waiting for someone to trade for the dwarf's hammer. I once again catalyzed the locusts using my ice shaving method. Now that my god domain was bigger, the number of locusts I could host increased dramatically.
10 hours later.
I finally got a promising message from a buyer. They had a level 1 sacred relic called the lava fire crystal, which boosted fire resistance and explosion power. It was just what I needed. After some bargaining back and forth, I traded the dwarf's hammer and 80 divine power for the lava fire crystal. The instant I got the burning crystal, I attached it right onto my god domain core. In that moment, a wave of fiery power swept over all my locusts. Roughly 1 out of every 1,000 locusts mutated. Ordinary locusts gained more heat resistance and doubled their monthly faith output. Their lifespan extended to 150 days. The changes in the self-destruct locusts were even greater. Not only did they grow to 20 centimeters long, even their species name and traits changed. They evolved into a brand new elite plasma locusts. Their power completely surpassed the old self-destruct locusts. Through my tests, each plasma locust had destructive power, about equal to a hand grenade. Seeing their power in action, I immediately resolved to stockpile as many as possible. If I could get 10 million plasma locusts, I could run the entire school however I wanted. At the same time, Zhang Bin's parents showed up at the school office, furious, and demanded I be expelled. But after assessing the power of my plasma locusts, the school thought I was highly promising, and flat out refused Zhang Bin's parents' request. In the end, Zhang Bin's father made a harsh ultimatum. If I could withstand his squad of 1,000, then he would let the matter drop. The school was helpless too, and could only tell me about it, to see if I'd accept the challenge. I accepted this life and death stakes. Meanwhile, I had sufficient land resources and food supply, as long as the environment could sustain it. I used the growth acceleration ability multiple times, causing the number of locusts in the god domain to skyrocket. According to the statistics, the total number of locusts in the god domain had already reached a staggering 4.802 billion. Of those, 4.8 billion were common locusts. 5.7 million were fire attribute enhanced locusts. 1.8 million were elite life form self-exploding locusts. And 500,000 were double enhanced exploding locusts. Aside from that, there were nearly 10 billion locust eggs waiting to hatch in the god domain. Had I not considered that the environment couldn't handle it, I would have surely catalyzed all those eggs as well. Just as I was about to perform another life sacrifice, a video call request popped up. The caller ID was Dean Su Mei. Out of respect for her position as a school leader, I chose to answer. Su Mei's image appeared on the blue light screen, stating the demands of Zhang Bin's father, Zhang Gang, and mentioning that this was already the maximum amount of protection the school could provide me. I knew in my heart that Su Mei was telling the truth. 1,000-man legion trained by a demigod is definitely no pushover. But since things had come to this, I didn't have the right to refuse. Otherwise, what awaited me would be an assassination by a demigod. Thank you for your help, Director Su. I will go to school tomorrow to face this challenge. After hanging up, the time in the real world was 1:13 a.m. It was time for the second life sacrifice. I raised my hand, and the massive blood-red formation of life sacrifice appeared once again. 1.8 billion common locusts, plus 5.7 million fire attribute enhanced locusts, transformed into majestic life energy and flooded into the formation. The sacrifice ended, and 3 options appeared before me. Option 1, Grade B Relic, Bloodshot Demonic Eye. Option 2, Grade B Skill, Crystal Fireball. Option 3, Hero Life Form, Iron Cutter Tang Feng. The quality of the rewards this time was far superior to the first, considering I had to fight a demigod's 1,000-man legion tomorrow. My gaze lingered between the 3 options. Finally, I locked onto the third one. Iron Cutter Tang Feng. Being able to become a hero life form was enough proof of his overwhelming strength. After confirming the option, Iron Cutter Tang Feng's information panel emerged. And it was truly magnificent. He had 4 skills alone, among which was a self-created skill whose comprehension level even the system couldn't evaluate. Plus, his life cycle was extremely long, and barring any accidents, he could stay with me for nearly 2 years. My gaze fell upon the entity. This hero life form had a humanoid appearance, with a slender build and shoulder-length white hair. His most prominent feature was having 2 pairs of arms, for a total of 4 blades. Feeling my gaze, Iron Cutter Tang Feng immediately knelt on one knee and pleaded, "Oh, great God, I need swords." The Tang Feng clan is born for battle. A hand without a sword is like a gun without bullets. Iron Cutter Tang Feng's combat power was crucial to me. High-end weapons were a must. I checked my assets. The power of faith accumulated from locusts over the past 2 days, combined with what was left from the land sale earlier, put my current total assets at 54 points of divine power. Opening the God trading website, equipment was categorized into common faith, divine power, and divinity grades. 54 divine power wasn't enough for divine power grade equipment, but it was more than enough for a decent faith grade weapon. I filtered for sword type weapons, priced under 54 divine power, and showed them to Iron Cutter Tang Feng. He quickly selected a faith grade piece of equipment, the Storm Greatsword, priced at 50 divine power. I placed the order immediately. Iron Cutter Tang Feng took the Storm Greatsword, swung it twice in excitement, immediately stirring up a fierce blade wind. I was looking forward to him showing off his prowess in tomorrow's invasion battle. But then he pleaded again, "Oh, great God, I still need 3 more identical weapons to unleash my full strength." I was instantly stunned. Easier said than done. That's 150 points of divine power. Do you think divine power grows on trees? But he was my only hero life form. Still, 150 divine power was definitely no small sum for a high schooler. Where would I get it? Wait, I suddenly remembered. Maybe a certain classmate would lend it to me, with a give-it-a-shot mentality. I sent a video call invitation to that person. Within the god domain space, Qin Shuang was sitting on an ancient tree. Countless thunder butterflies, born as elite life forms, were dancing around him. But he wasn't paying attention to his core followers. In his mind, he kept replaying the scene of falling into a lake in elementary school. That was when Hanwu pulled him back from the brink of death. Since then, Qin Shuang had always kept an eye on Hanwu, proactively helping him out whenever he was bullied. But this blockhead was always unwilling to accept it. This blockhead might as well let him be squeezed to death. The more Qin Shuang thought about it, the angrier he got. He was born noble, with one true god and 23 demigods in his family. Even the principal had to greet him with a smile. Yet, Hanwu never showed him any respect. Did his noble self really have to beg him to accept help? Just as Qin Shuang was fuming, a communication request popped up. He wanted to refuse. But when he saw the name Hanwu, it felt as if a kitten was scratching at his heart, wanting to know what this blockhead wanted. After 5 seconds of silence, Qin Shuang answered, "Have you changed your mind and agreed to be my slave?" Qin Shuang asked, "No, I just wanted to borrow some divine power from you." I said. Qin Shuang sneered, "You're borrowing divine power from me. Then let me ask you, what are you going to use to pay me back? Those trashy scrolls of yours?" After 3 seconds of silence, I said, "So, are you lending it or not?" Qin Shuang snorted, "How much?" After receiving 150 points of divine power in my account, I immediately bought 3 storm greatswords and gave them to Ironcutter Tangfeng. After obtaining 4 storm greatswords, Ironcutter Tangfeng's faith in me immediately rose by 1 level. Becoming a true believer, he could provide 2 million power of faith daily. This was a pleasant surprise. The next day, I teleported directly to the classroom. My appearance instantly caught the attention of the whole class. From the surrounding whispers, I knew the news of my duel against a demigod was already known to everyone. It didn't matter. They would have found out sooner or later anyway. Qin Shuang walked over from his seat. "You borrowed divine power from me to improve yourself, to compete against a demigod? I suggest you don't waste your effort. Even if the demigod only deploys a 1,000-man squad, it's not something you can handle right now." I replied calmly, "I have no other choice." Qin Shuang immediately patted his chest and assured, "As long as you become my slave, I will contact my family to pressure Zhang. His family only has 1 demigod, while mine has 1 true god and 23 demigods. He wouldn't dare to disobey." I really couldn't understand how obsessed he was with making me his slave. I appreciate the sentiment, but please go back for now. I need to prepare for facing the demigod's 1,000-man legion. I declined politely. Qin Shuang snorted in anger and stormed back to his seat, cursing me in his heart for being a blockhead. Shortly after, led by the homeroom teacher Liu Lishan, Zhang Bin's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Zhang, entered the classroom. "That's Han Wu." Liu Lishan eagerly pointed me out. "You little brat. You destroyed my son's divine core. Watch me tear you apart." Zhang Bin's mother, Du Rong, saw me. So furious she wanted to attack immediately. Zhang Gang grabbed his angry wife and quietly tried to calm her down. "Don't break the school's rules." He implied that the school has powerful backing. It's not something you can mess with. Only then did Du Rong restrain her glare, but still stared at me viciously. "Han Wu, why aren't you coming over right now?" "Don't waste Mr. Zhang's time," Liu Lishan urged like a lackey. He was hoping to use this chance to cling to Zhang Gang. As for what happens to me, he couldn't care less. I replied calmly, "I want Director Sume to witness this." Is such a small matter worth Sume witnessing? Me being a witness is already giving you enough respect. Let's start now. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Liu Lishan barked. "Who are you threatening to be rude to, Mr. Liu?" Sume's voice came from outside the classroom. Liu Lishan hurriedly changed his tone with respect. "Director Su, this really isn't a big deal. No need to bother you. I'm just disciplining my student a bit." Sume sneered. "Mr. Liu, Don't forget you're a teacher at this school, not someone's demigod's lapdog. Got it? Liu Lishan definitely understood. He smiled awkwardly. Zhang Gang spoke up at the right moment. Now that Director Su is here, let's begin. Su Mei's gaze landed on me. Hanwu, are you ready? Ready? I nodded. Yes. Then let's start. Zhang Gang activated an invasion card. I was forced into the divine domain again. A portal opened inside my divine domain. 1,000 Volv cavalry marched out. The students and teachers in spectator mode. All gasped in awe. As the judge, Su Mei frowned deeply. He didn't expect Zhang Dang, a respected demigod, to exploit loopholes claiming this is a 1,000-man army. But clearly, the Volv cavalry can split into Volv riders, counting as 2,000 in battle power. Zhang Dang's demigod avatar hovered above the enemy troops, issuing an oracle to the Volv cavalry. Charge. My divine avatar also hovered in the air, watching the Volv cavalry quickly approach. I suddenly waved my hand. A total of 6.8 million locusts soared into the sky, like a crimson cloud, blocking out the sun. Among them, 550,000 were explosive locusts. As expected, the moment the Volv cavalry and locust swarm collided, the battle became completely one-sided. 1 million suicide locusts were sacrificed, but their power was too weak. Unable to break through the Volv cavalry, the fine armor only caused a few Volv cavalry minor injuries. The teachers watching were already mourning for me. I truly was talented, but unfortunately faced an impossible challenge. Just as everyone thought I'd definitely lose, an unexpected turn happened. The explosive locusts hidden among the regular suicide swarm began a chain explosion. Boom, boom, boom. The blasts were not only huge, but also unleashed massive waves of scorching magma, causing splash damage. No matter how good the Volv cavalry's armor was, some parts were still exposed. When the hot magma landed on them, it instantly caused severe burns. A large amount of magma covered the ground, forcibly creating a lava zone in the center of the battlefield. In the lava area, the Volv cavalry constantly suffered from intense heat. They wanted to escape, but were desperately held back by never-ending locusts. The once invincible 1,000 Volv cavalry were devastated by the explosive locust assault, sustaining heavy casualties. The tide of battle suddenly reversed. It almost shocked the teachers and students watching. Grade Director Su Mei never expected that I had been hiding such a trump card. He laughed aloud with delight and encouraged, "Well done, Hanwu." Just moments ago, his expression was grim. He immediately issued an oracle to the Volv cavalry captain to use extraordinary power. The Volv cavalry captain howled ferociously, which was echoed by his mount. Both the man and Volv radiated a chilling aura. Extraordinary power. The freezing aura. Within a 200-meter radius, the temperature dropped sharply, and the accumulated lava quickly hardened into black stone. The explosive locusts' ongoing damage was interrupted. With fewer than 200 surviving Volv cavalry, they regrouped and launched another attack. Zhang Gang was confident that even with less than 200 Volv cavalry, they could find my divine core and smash it. Without the explosive locusts in their way, the remaining Volv cavalry swept in like a storm, quickly breaking into the heart of the divine domain. The core was within reach. The Volv cavalry captain ordered another charge. Just one hit would shatter the divine core. The teachers and students who were rooting for me couldn't bear to watch and close their eyes. But right at that moment, a shout of surprise rang out among the crowd. "Look, what's that in front of Hanwu's divine core?" The teachers and students watching all turned their gaze to my divine core. They saw a slender figure standing in front of the core. He had white hair, flowing in the wind, but most shocking, he held a massive sword in each of his forearms, with swirling gusts wrapping each blade. Clearly not ordinary weapons. "Teacher, you recognize the swords. Those are Storm Greatswords, priced at 50 divine power each. 4 swords at 50 each is 200 divine power. Isn't Hanwu supposed to be an orphan? How is he so wealthy?" A student exclaimed in wonder. None of the teachers present could identify the figure's race. Only Su Mei, after thinking for a moment, gave the answer. "That's the Tangfang race. The Tangfang, born as extraordinary beings." He paused, his voice extremely serious. But this Tangfang isn't just any extraordinary being. He's a bona fide hero-class life form. Zhang also saw the truth, having been a demigod for years, invading countless divine domains, with wide experience. So he instantly recognized this hero-class life form. Shocked, Zhang felt a surge of intense jealousy. He had worked for decades, and only managed to nurture one hero-class life form. But I'm just a senior high student, so why do I get to have such an outstanding follower? He had to seize it, and take this hero-class life form for himself. As long as he destroyed the divine core, this Tangfang hero would be his. Zhang eyes reddened, and he muttered to himself. The surviving Wolf cavalry followed Zhang orders, charging at the divine core from multiple directions. He calculated that no matter how strong the hero-class life form, it can't block attacks from all sides. As long as one Wolf cavalry breaks through and smashes the core, everything in my divine domain, including the Tangfang race, would belong to him. Faced with Wolf cavalry attacking from all angles, Iron Slasher Tangfang was fired up. With the Tangfang talent, all 4 storm greatswords released a sonic boom. Level 3 skill, beginner storm slash. All 4 greatswords spun wildly, stirring the air, turning into a 10-meter-high tornado, protecting the heart of the divine realm at the center. Any Wolf riders approaching from outside were all slashed by the fierce blades swirling in the tornado. At worst, severely injured. At best, killed on the spot. But that wasn't all. With no worries left, Zantai Tangfeng moved like lightning,
taking the initiative to attack.
Level 1 skill, basic whirlwind slash activated, like a giant meat grinder. Effortlessly killed over 10 Wolf riders. Level 2 skill, basic gale slash activated. 4 massive sword energies shot out. Even from 100 meters away, several riders, wolves, and all were sliced in half. The Wolf rider captain let out a furious roar. The freezing aura activated again, enveloping Zantai Tangfeng within it. The cold froze his feet, rendering him unable to move for several seconds. The captain seized the opportunity, rushing forward on his giant Wolf. Zantai Tangfeng remained unfazed, raising 4 swords high, mighty wind energy, condensed into a 10-meter-long giant wind sword. Self-created skill, Zantai style activated. The giant sword crashed down. The land of the divine realm shook violently. The flesh and blood of the Wolf rider captain splattered all over like rain. The mighty, extraordinary ranked Wolf rider captain was easily shredded to pieces by this move. The students and teachers watching all gaped in shock. Damn, that's brutal. With the captain dead, the remaining Wolf riders were utterly terrified and fled in a panic. Zhang face in the air turned ashen.
He was a battle-hardened demigod.
Yet he lost to a high school student. Damn it, damn it. Wolf rider commander, flatten this divine realm for me. Zhang roared. From the portal, countless Wolf riders appeared. Leading them was none other than the Wolf rider commander, also a heroic life form. And behind him followed 800,000 Wolf riders. Over 100 at the extraordinary life form level among them. Now that's the true strength of a powerful demigod. At the very instant that army appeared, an even greater force suddenly descended. In my divine realm, Zhang saw this figure, and instantly lost his temper. It was the school principal, a powerful true god. Demigod, do you intend to break your promise? The true god principal asked sternly. Zhang was intimidated by the true god's authority, and didn't dare act up anymore. He agreed repeatedly.
He quickly ordered his followers to leave my divine realm,
took his wife and teleported out of the classroom, afraid the principal would give him trouble. The principal turned his gaze to my divine realm, glancing at Zantai Tangfeng. He nodded with rare approval, praising, not bad. Then his figure faded away. The written exam was over. Students and teachers were forced out of spectator mode. The way they looked at me had undergone a complete transformation. I have the exploding locusts, and a powerful heroic life form. Who would dare look down on me now? Sumei looked at me more and more fondly. Classmate Hanwu did a good job. But you can't let having a heroic life form make you arrogant and complacent. Heroic life forms aren't invincible. With your current strength, it's still hard to make the top 3 of your grade. Sumei offered some advice. I nodded humbly. I'll work even harder. Mei nodded with satisfaction. She was about to leave when I suddenly called out to her. Director Su, I have a request. What request? I stated firmly. I want to transfer classes. Mei responded. As long as you pass the school's assigned test, you can change classes. Unexpectedly, Qin Shuang also stood up at this moment. Apply to take the test to change classes. Mei knew very well Qin Shuang's powerful background. She could only agree. Tomorrow, both of you will prepare for the test together. After saying that, she was about to leave. Class monitor Zhang Zhaolong called out to her as well. He's had a crush on Qin Shuang for a long time. If Qin Shuang transfers, of course he wants to go with her. Two top students taking the initiative to transfer classes is nothing short of a slap in the face for the homeroom teacher. Mei shot Liu Lishan a dissatisfied glare. Tomorrow I'll prepare the test for you. Teacher Liu, come with me. Mei left without looking back. Liu Lishan followed behind, looking dejected. After a day of classes, I came home. I immediately got into the login pod to check the oracle. After a fierce battle, there are 1.1 billion regular locusts left. Self-destruct locusts have recovered to 1 million. The berserker locusts have dropped sharply to just 30,000. With this little force, I honestly don't feel confident about tomorrow's test. At this time, Iron Slayer Tang Feng took the initiative to pray, Great Divine One. The escaped Wolf cavalry are hiding in the mines. Should we go eliminate them? Only then did I remember. There are still a few dozen Wolf cavalry left in my divine realm. These are definitely a threat. They must be eliminated as soon as possible. But killing them directly is too wasteful. I issued another oracle. Go capture them alive. Make sure they're alive. I have a bigger use for them. Within a few oracle days, Iron Slayer Tang Feng rounded up all the remaining troops and tied them up in front of me. The countdown reached 2340. I activated the life trap again. Over 1 billion ordinary locusts plus dozens of Wolf cavalry. Their combined vitality is no less than 2 billion. The locusts transformed into a torrent of pure life energy and flowed into the magical array. Sacrifice complete. 3 options appeared. Option 1, Alpha Mech, a mechanical creation comparable to a supernatural life form. Option 2, Level 1 Grand Furnace Blueprint, can establish a massive foundry, can forge the highest tier. Faith equipment. Option 3, 3 Watchtowers, expands line of sight, prevents invasions. I couldn't help but sigh. Have I already run out of luck? These 3 options, not a single one can directly boost my combat power, which I need for tomorrow's test. But speaking of forging, I recalled the 800 dwarf prisoners mining in my quarry. I projected my consciousness over. To my surprise, the dwarves seemed surprisingly content. In less than 2 years of divine realm time, their numbers had already grown to 900. They even took the initiative to smelt the ores they mined and forge them into all kinds of weapons, all neatly arranged for me to use anytime. Are dwarves really this agreeable? I descended my consciousness before an elderly dwarf. Seeing the divine projection, the old dwarf immediately tottered to his knees before me. Oh, Divine One, thank you for the wonderful life you bestowed upon us. I was even more confused. I only gave them the command to mine. In my mind, they were just sacrificial backup materials. Where's this wonderful life coming from? After reading his memories, I finally understood. Under Zhang Bing's oracle, dwarves were considered a core vassal race, but Zhang Bing required every single one to serve as a soldier, suppressing their nature for crafting and forging, and forcing them through cruel military training. But in my divine realm, they don't have to submit to harsh military discipline, and are finally free to spend every day forging and mining. Mining and forging gear is a dwarf's greatest love. Plus, the mining area is right next to the forest, so food is plentiful. Compared to Zhang Bing's divine realm, this is just paradise. Seeing the dwarves so enlightened, I had an epiphany. Why not tame them for my own use? Make them a normal vassal race to handle logistics. At the very least, they are extremely gifted for forging equipment. Having made up my mind, I chose among the 3 options. I picked the level 1 Grand Furnace Blueprint. Then, I tasked the dwarves with building the Grand Furnace. As soon as they learned the Divine One had given them a holy gift to help them forge better, the dwarves were all thrilled. Nominal believers instantly became true devotees. Their faith surged dramatically. Overall, it was another solid income. I smiled, my figure disappearing before the dwarves. Next, there's something even more important to do. That is frantically grinding out ice to prepare for tomorrow's test. The next day, Liu Lishan suggested putting me through the highest difficulty test. I'm a student with no background at all, so most of the homeroom teachers were more willing to give Liu Lishan some face. Of the 12 grade level homeroom teachers, 10 agreed to give me the hardest test. 1 abstained, and only 1 flatly refused and rebuked Liu Lishan. But those 2 opinions didn't carry any weight. The highest difficulty test for me had become a collective, irreversible decision. Even Director Su Mei couldn't change it. During class, Qin Shuang, Zhang Zhaolong, and I were called out of the classroom. Under Su Mei's watchful gaze, Liu Lishan handed each of us a card. Su Mei noticed the cards weren't the same. The cards for Qin Shuang and Zhang Zhaolong read, indicating the lowest difficulty. They simply had to lead their vassals to repel 10,000 invaders. But my card clearly said 10. That meant if I wanted to pass the test, I had to resist 10 times as many enemies, which meant a full 100,000 invaders. Although invaders are random, with the difficulty set to 10, there's no way the enemies would be weak. This test for me is bound to be even tougher than fighting the demigod Zhang. My divine realm could even get overrun. The 3 of us took our cards and went to the divine realm login pods. Qin Shuang obviously realized I was being targeted. Before entering the pod, he said to me, "My offer still stands. As long as you become my slave, I guarantee that no one else in the school, except me, can bully you." I smiled faintly. "Thanks, but I'll pass. See you after the test." With that, I entered the pod first. Qin Shuang, fuming, stomped in after me. Zhang Zhaolong, who saw it all, looked dark and gloomy, and followed close behind. As we entered the pods, teachers and students all switched to spectator mode. There was nothing interesting about Qin Shuang or Zhang Zhaolong's tests. 1,000 invaders were wiped out by their core vassal races almost instantly, and quickly eliminated. Both of them passed with ease, but my test still had no result. Because at that moment, the invaders that had entered my divine realm was not 1,000, but 10,000, and they were all crimson goblins. Definitely elite life forms. For me, crimson goblins are even harder to deal with than Zhang Gang's Wolf cavalry. They're more troublesome. Because they have innate fire resistance, with this trait, they can withstand extremely high temperatures. My ultimate secret weapon, explosive locusts. The locust's lava self-destruction. The damage dealt to them will be greatly reduced. In spectator mode, Liu Lishan's face wore a constant sneer. Secretly, Han Wu thought to himself, "It's your fault for rejecting my goodwill." A 10,000-strong crimson goblin army. Enough to punch through your divine realm. Some homeroom teachers who were friendly already started flattering. "Teacher Liu, congratulations on avenging your great grudge." Sigh, how could there be grudges between teachers and students? After this test, Han Wu will surely understand how hard it is to be a teacher. Liu Lishan responded hypocritically. Su Mei couldn't be bothered to look at Liu Lishan's fake face. Her eyes were glued to my divine realm, hoping I could create another miracle. A large-scale battle was about to erupt in the divine realm. A total of 2.6 billion ordinary locusts soared into the sky. They looked like endless black clouds, bearing down on the Crimson Goblin army. The Crimson Goblins refused to back down. Balls of fire formed on their claws. They launched them at the locust swarm. Each fireball could turn dozens of locusts into ash. Hundreds of thousands of locusts perished every second. Meanwhile, the Crimson Goblins suffered barely any casualties. My divine avatar watched everything closely, waiting for the right moment to give the command, ordering the self-destruct locusts to attack. 5 million suicide locusts made their move under the cover of the regular swarm, launching a kamikaze assault. The sound of explosions crackled without end. The Crimson Goblins finally took some losses. 6,000 were lightly or severely injured. 400 were killed instantly. But for an army of over 10,000, this level of damage was negligible. Out of all other options, I had no choice but to use my trump card. 400,000 explosive locusts charged into enemy lines, detonating and releasing torrents of lava, turning the Crimson Goblin's position into a hell of molten lava. Some severely wounded Crimson Goblins were burned to death by the extreme heat. But after all, they were fire element elites. Most of them actually charged out of the lava zone through the heat. The deaths of 400,000 explosive locusts only took 3,000 enemy lives with them. The remaining nearly 6,500 Crimson Goblins, though almost all injured, were still high in fighting spirit. They followed their mission, ignoring the masses of ordinary locusts flying everywhere, and went straight for the core of my divine realm. Before the core, Zhang Tangfeng slaughtered enemies left and right. 4 storm greatswords swung fiercely, sending violent sword winds rippling through large areas. The Crimson Goblins fired a barrage of fireballs. Zhang Tangfeng took the hits head-on, standing tall, unwavering. Any enemy near the core would be ruthlessly slaughtered. The ground around the core of the divine realm was stained completely red. Many watching students couldn't handle the bloody scene and chose to leave automatically. However, the tilt of the battle grew more obvious. No matter how strong Zhang Tangfeng was, facing the siege of 6,500 elite life forms, under endless fireball bombardment, he was covered with scabs of blood all over, completely exhausted. He could only use his 4 swords as a makeshift shield to protect himself. Anyone could see he was already at death's door. All around him, piled up, were over 1,000 Crimson Goblin corpses, testifying to the brutality of the slaughter. The ending moment had arrived. The remaining 1,000 plus Crimson Goblins gathered massive fireballs, about to deliver the final blow to this tenacious hero. Liu Lishan, watching from the sidelines, couldn't hide the joy on his face. He already seemed to see the moment my core shatters. But at that exact moment, the ground trembled. The Red Spear Goblins all stopped casting their fireballs. They looked toward the direction of the sound, only to see a fully armed squad charging out of the forest without hesitation. There weren't many of them, just 900, but they were all clad in fine, complete iron armor. In their hands they gripped warhammers and battle axes tightly. Guardians without God. The dwarf elder leading the group roared loudly. All 900 dwarves roared back in unison. Their deep roars echoed like an inspiring battle song. Over 1,000 Red Spear Goblins were shocked by this scene. By the time they came to their senses, the dwarven warhammers were already swinging in their faces. The dwarf elder swung his hammer once, smashing a Red Spear Goblin's head to pieces. Blood splattered instantly. The dwarf warriors behind him crashed into the enemy lines like a steel tidal wave. Shouts and explosions once again echoed across the divine realm. The battle entered a stalemate again. The spectators were absolutely stunned. They hadn't even noticed that aside from my core locusts, I had also raised a fully armed dwarf. A keen-eyed teacher from one legion noticed something. Isn't that Zhang Bin's core companion from before? It's only been 2 days, and it has already been cultivated into a fiercely loyal death soldier. Such talent with that kind of skill. Definitely top 10 in the grade. This teacher was tempted. If I could recruit this student to my class, this semester's evaluation will skyrocket. The other teachers had the same thought. They stared intently at the final results of the test. The sounds of slaughter in the divine realm grew weaker and weaker. Every fallen dwarf and Red Spear Goblin tugged at the viewers' hearts. Soon the answer was revealed, as the last Red Spear Goblin was smashed in the head by the dwarf elder. My side claimed ultimate victory, but it was a hard-earned victory. My locust army was nearly wiped out. The 900 dwarves suffered heavy casualties, leaving only 54 survivors. The only consolation was the hero entity, Swordbreaker Tang Feng, survived. Student Han Wu. Director Su Mei announced the results. She could barely conceal her shock in her tone. She could only say my victory was a complete miracle. During the test, I released 2 waves of accelerated growth, restoring the surviving core troops. Only then did I exit the login pod. A small classroom was already packed with homeroom teachers from all the classes. Their eyes eagerly watched us as we passed the test. 3 teachers extended their most sincere invitations. Student Qin Shuang, join my class. I have the best resources for Thunder Sparrows and scrolls to help you improve quickly. Student Zhang Zhaolong. I have secret techniques for training monster companions. As long as you join me, I'll share them with you. Student Han Wu. Join my class. I'm willing to provide you with an even stronger dwarven legion. Facing these enthusiastic offers, Zhang Zhaolong didn't answer right away, but looked at Chen Shuang. Chen Shuang was staring straight at me. The homeroom teachers immediately realized getting top students depended on me. I ignored all the offers from the homeroom teachers and turned to look at Su Mei. Director Su, can I ask why my test was so challenging? Su Mei replied, the level of difficulty for individual tests is decided jointly by all the homeroom teachers. For a moment, the 10 teachers who voted for the highest difficulty for me were left speechless. One wanted to see their votes. I said so, and Su Mei made the voting record public to me. Out of the 12 homeroom teachers present, 9, except for Liu Lishan, looked extremely awkward. They cursed Liu Lishan endlessly in their hearts. Of the other 2, one quietly celebrated abstaining, while the other looked at me with appreciation, sizing me up. After confirming the votes, I walked straight toward those 2 teachers who didn't set me up when I was down. Frankly asked, dear teachers, if I joined your class, what would you offer me? I want to join a class for the resources. Teachers want to enroll me for their achievements. We both get what we need. I was sure that my performance in the test would earn me a higher valuation. I appreciate straightforward deals. So, I asked the 2 teachers who didn't set me up, dear teachers, if I joined your class, what would you offer me? One of the homeroom teachers replied first, student Hanwu. In today's test,
I saw
your skill in training dwarven squads. If you join my class, I could provide you with a team of no less than 10,000 dwarves. With that team, you are guaranteed a spot in the top 10 of your grade, and getting into a top college in the future is no dream. The other teacher said, training your core companions is key. I have several resources that are very valuable for bug types. If you join my class, I'll help you advance the development of your locust species. All the way. Both offers were very attractive, but in my view, the second teacher made more sense. Core scrolls are the most important. Teacher, may I please have your name? I asked the second homeroom teacher, Tan Wen. I immediately said, Teacher Tan Wen, I'd like to join your class. Before Tan Wen replied, Qin Shuang and Zhang Zhaolong quickly followed suit, expressing their intent to join too. Tan Wen was left speechless, both shocked and overjoyed. 3 in a row. That's a sure win for this year's Outstanding Teacher Award. Other homeroom teachers were extremely jealous of this result. 3 of the top 10 students in the grade, all just enrolled in Tan Wen's class.
His class grades will skyrocket.
But there's nothing they could do. Which class to join is always the student's choice. All right, I'll come to my class. Tan Wen cheered with delight. He reached into his pocket as he spoke and pulled out 3 high-quality cards. These are your joining gifts from the teacher. Tan Wen handed the cards to us 3. Qin Shuang didn't even look at hers and stowed it in her revelation device. Obviously, this girl's family is filthy rich and didn't care about the reward. Zhang Shaolong glanced at his card with a hint of surprise on his face. This card was perfect for his core companion's development. As for me, holding the card from Tan Wen, I was overwhelmed with excitement because this card was literally tailored for my bug army. Level 2 building card. Insect hive, covering 1 square kilometer, can hatch 1 million bug creatures a year. It enables all relics embedded in the hive to fully unleash their effects. That means after building the hive in the divine realm and embedding Heart of Explosion and Fire Essence, 2 level 1 relics in it, the hive would completely unleash both of their powers on all the eggs being bred. In this way, one can specifically obtain 1 million burst locusts every year. This is much faster than me relying on the mutation chance of growth acceleration. Thank you, teacher, I said gratefully. No need for thanks. Getting better results is the best reward for me. Tan Wen replied.
the director of instruction.
Su Mei looked at the result with relief, feeling genuinely happy. Then his expression turned serious, reminding everyone, teachers, today's test was just a small trial. It's of little consequence, but in 7 days, the school's unified exam is the top priority. It concerns the future resource allocation of every class. I don't need to say more about its importance, right? Su Mei's words made the expressions of the class teachers present turn serious. Director Su, we will certainly educate our students well and live up to the school's expectations. Out of the 3 elite class spots, my class is claiming one first. I have confidence in my students. The class teachers expressed one after another. The only exception was Liu Lishan, because the top students in his class had just collectively defected to someone else right in front of him. After attending classes in the new class for a day, I teleported home after school and immediately entered the God Domain login pod. The class transfer test dealt a devastating blow to my followers. After entering the God Domain, I immediately used my divine sense to scan. Follower count, 2.04 million ordinary locusts, 5,000 self-destructing locusts, 300 ice burst locusts, and 52 red fire dwarves. Heroic life form, Iron Slasher Tang Feng. This is all the assets I have left in my God Domain. To describe it in one word, pathetic. With this level of strength, I'll definitely be at the bottom of the unified exam in 7 days. I need to keep harvesting ice to breed the locusts first. I muttered, wait. My gaze fell on the new name, Red Fire Dwarves. I was certain that they were just ordinary dwarves in my God Domain before. They mutated after a single battle. Confused, I cast my divine vision into the mining area. When I saw the surviving dwarves, I was startled. Short and stout bodies, muscular limbs, and thick hair are standard features. But these 52 survivors also had crimson skin and bloodlines flowing like lava. I could even see the lava-like blood forming bright patterns under their crimson skin. I hurried to check the information, looking surprised to think that, in an extreme battle, they evolved into natural elite life forms. If only they were my core followers. Red Fire Dwarves are a very powerful race. If nurtured, they could definitely leave my peers far behind. A pity they aren't core. I can only sigh at the irony of fate. After giving the Red Fire Dwarves some verbal encouragement, I urged them to forge iron diligently, while also reproducing diligently, to expand the tribe. In the following days, I attended classes during the day and worked hard at harvesting ice at night. With the help of growth acceleration, it only took 4 days for me to restore my core follower locusts back to their previous scale. When the total number of locusts reached 7.3 billion, the God Domain environment reached its carrying capacity limit. With a wave of my hand, life sacrifice. 7.2 billion ordinary locusts turned into countless life energy, pouring into the blood-red magic circle in the sky. 3 options appeared before my eyes again. Option 1, Tier 2 Holy Relic, Fragmented Law of Gluttony. After loading it into the core, the race gains the gluttony ability. Once the total food energy consumed exceeds its own energy by 1,000 times, the life leap can be completed. Limited to ordinary life forms only. Option 2, Hero Template. Help one extraordinary life form promote to a hero life form. Option 3, 1 point of divinity. 3 options. Every single one makes my mouth water. The law of gluttony cannot be measured by numerical values. It can help ordinary life forms jump to elite life forms. If all my ordinary locusts turned into elite ones, the reward for the next sacrifice would definitely be 10 times better. Of course, I can only dream. 7.3 billion locusts with the gluttony ability. Just eating would drive me bankrupt. The hero template is equally valuable. One look at Iron Cutting Tang Feng's performance is enough to know. If this thing were put up for auction, it would be enough for demigods to fight over. 1 point of divinity is the most straightforward, equivalent to 100 million points of faith power, which is 100 million divine power. Choosing it would make me a billionaire instantly. Facing 3 top-tier choices, I pondered deeply. After careful consideration, I still chose option 1, Tier 2 Holy Relic, Fragmented Law of Gluttony. In the long run, its effect on my core followers, the Zerg, far exceeds the other 2. It's just that with my current assets, I simply can't afford to raise too many gluttony locusts. I had to settle for the next best thing.
Taking the law of gluttony,
along with the Heart of Explosion and Lava Fire Crystal, and applying them all to the insect nest gifted by teacher Tianwen. I'll selectively breed 1 million every year. ultimate mutants that simultaneously possess violent magma, and the gluttony ability. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. The unified exam was imminent. I entered the god realm once again, amidst the billions of insects. At first glance, I spotted a group of huge, terrifying locusts, 1 meter in length. Those were the new species that emerged from the insect nest. I named them explosive magma locusts. The morning sun was shining brightly. I had just walked into the new classroom, reached my seat, when Qin Shuang, who had been waiting for a long time, stood up and walked over. "Have you considered becoming my slave?" Qin Shuang questioned me crossly as soon as she arrived. I was speechless. Just how strong is this girl's obsession with making me her slave? Student Qin Shuang, my strength isn't weak now either, and I have the ability to protect myself. Let's not mention the slave thing again. I declined. Qin Shuang was still unwilling to give up. Having such a thought shows that you're not mature enough. Let me ask you, do you have any backing? Do you have resources? You have neither. Are you relying solely on your locusts to try and stand out among the many children of demigods? Too naive. Your locust cultivation is indeed quite good, but they are ultimately too weak. While the dwarf taming was impressive, they are not your core followers after all. She talked a great deal, but it was all nonsense to my ears. I appreciate the sentiment, but whether I can make it or not, we'll know after the exam, I replied, and crawled into the Divine Oracle login pod, waiting for the unified exam to begin. Qin Shuang felt like she was being ignored. She was extremely furious and left resentfully. When Zhang Xiaolong saw Qin Shuang, whom he regarded as a goddess, get snubbed by me, a fire ignited in his heart. Han Wu, one day, I will make you leave Qin Shuang's sight forever. A short while later, the demigod projection of the homeroom teacher, Tian Wen, entered every student's interface. The school-organized unified exam is very important for the future resource allocation share of the class. Please, for your own future, bring out your maximum strength to take this exam. Of course, for students with excellent results, this teacher will not be stingy. Holy relics, God realm territory, core fragments, follower legions, and so on. Various rewards. The resources are in my hands. As long as you have the skill, take them as you please. With just those few words, the 62 students in the class were filled with excitement. Next, I will issue the rules of the unified exam to everyone. Please check them. The rules were sent to the interface. One spent a few minutes quickly browsing them. I had a general idea in mind. Just like in previous years, the unified exam is divided into 2 stages. The first stage is an elimination process. All students face the same difficulty of assessment. Those who fail will be expelled directly. Those who pass can, based on their strength, choose to withdraw or continue the challenge. The second stage is a ranking system, adopting an infinite challenge mode. Invaders are teleported in wave after wave. Each wave you survive, your personal ranking rises, and the class score increases by 1. The final quotas for the 3 elite classes are calculated based on points. What makes me salivate the most are the rich ranking rewards. Top 100. A chosen god realm territory worth 100 divine power. Top 50. 1 Tier 1 holy relic. Top 30. 1 reproduction card, which increases follower reproduction speed by 5 times for 10 years. Top 20. 1 Tier 1 building, the divine temple, with a basic holy aura to accelerate injury recovery. Top 10. Worth up to 100,000 divine power. 1 self-selected divine weapon. Top 5. 1 extraordinary seed, to help an elite life form step into the extraordinary realm. Top 3. God Realm Core Level 1. First place, 1 point of divinity. If I can get first place, the school's rewards alone would be enough to make me rich overnight. Moreover, the teacher's rewards haven't even been listed yet. For the rewards, I'll give it my all. I roared in my mind.
10 minutes later.
The unified exam entered the preparation phase. My consciousness entered the Divine Oracle login pod, turning into a streak of light and flying into the void. Before long, students from all classes arrived. An emotionless mechanical voice sounded in the void. The first round of the elimination assessment for this year's unified exam is about to begin. All candidates, please be prepared. Many students became nervous. since it's about whether they can stay in the school. Even top 10 students inevitably feel anxious. Countdown 32. Time reached 0. I returned to my own god realm, only to see at the edge of the god realm, a massive one-way portal had appeared. An ominous aura kept emerging from the gate. I nervously called upon all my followers to sharpen their spirits, to deal with the external enemies. Finally, there was movement from the portal. The sound of galloping approached from afar. A large number of obese monsters surrounded by demonic energy poured out in a swarm. I looked closer, and my mouth couldn't stop twitching. It's just the elimination round. Are we really playing this big? These are demonic creatures from the abyssal civilization flesh devils. Although they are only ordinary life forms, yet they possess combat abilities comparable to elites. Thick-skinned and tough. Extremely resilient. They're cannon fodder with a very high cost-performance ratio. Fortunately, they have one extremely fatal weakness. They're slow to act. I'm absolutely confident I can destroy them. I issue a divine order for 50,000 exploding locusts to launch an attack. They self-destruct in the lava. In an instant, the area where the flesh demon lords are is engulfed by scorching lava. With every step the 10,000 flesh demon lords take, they suffer continuous damage. But they just can't move fast enough, and are constantly harassed by self-destructing locusts from above. Countless demon lords perish in the lava. Their flesh is roasted by the searing lava, actually giving off waves of delicious aroma. I notice this point, and immediately send the man-eating dwarves to drag the bodies back. Then I feed them to the regular locusts. Surprisingly, the locusts can actually digest them. Plus, these corpses are packed with nutrients. They're brimming with energy. This sparks a crazy new idea in me. I quickly swap out the Tier 2 sacred relic loaded on the hive, the incomplete gluttony law, with 2 Tier 1 sacred relics, on the core of the divine realm. In an instant, all the locusts flying within the divine realm are affected by the core's gluttonous attribute. They suddenly feel an insatiable hunger within. Every plant and tree in the divine realm has become their food, including the mountains of flesh demon lord corpses. In a frenzy, they devour everything. Each locust rapidly swells in size, evolving from ordinary life forms into elite life forms. Watching this fills me with ecstatic joy. Using 10,000 flesh demon lords as food. In less than 5 hours, I've somehow gained an extra 5 million gluttonous locust multi-headed elite life forms under my command. What kind of exam is this? This is basically a free buffet. If the upcoming exams are all like this, then bring it on even harder. As I use my growth acceleration ability to build up my forces, I exclaim excitedly. The elimination assessment for the unified exam still continues. More and more students suffer endlessly under the attacks of flesh demon lords. Meanwhile, inside the golden halo, the 12 homeroom teachers split their divine senses, monitoring the battles in the domains of all students. Sigh, there's yet another student eliminated. I actually had high hopes for him, a homeroom teacher said with a sigh. I've already had 20 students eliminated from my class. Lost 1/3 my class has it even worse. Half of my students have already been eliminated. Isn't the difficulty of this unified exam a bit too much? Ding Sume let out a cough, interrupting the teacher's complaints. The principal, together with the 3 vice principals, is battling the abyssal civilization at the front lines for control of the plane. Choosing the flesh demon puppet as the elimination exam's invading enemy definitely has his reasons. It's not our place as demigods to speculate. Yes, Director Sue is right. We just need to diligently complete whatever task the principal assigns. Wouldn't you all agree? Absolutely, we support the principal. Only then did Sume's expression soften. At that moment, homeroom teacher Tian Wen suddenly clapped and exclaimed, "Good kid!" The flesh demon puppet that others see as a nightmare has actually become food for his livestock tribe. Truly impressive. Other homeroom teachers handed over their divine stones. They ended up in my divine domain. On the interface, there are followers who can resist the flesh demon and the toxins within its flesh. They even know to roast it before eating. It's notable that locusts are immune to the flesh demon's toxins. This is actually a new discovery. It definitely has research value. Everyone witnessed me using locusts to gnaw at the demons. The homeroom teachers all praised me, but Liu Lishan stood behind everyone else, his face looking like he had just eaten crap.
He said it's just dumb luck.
A fluke, nothing more. In terms of strength, his locusts are trash, Liu Lishan said angrily. Mr. Liu, I disagree with that. Tianwen usually doesn't get along with Liu Lishan, so now he's naturally arguing back. Luck is also part of skill. Besides, if you look closely, the locusts he bred aren't exactly weak. As he spoke, Tianwen enlarged the screen, showing the blast pulp locusts I just bred. Wow, a transcendent life form. Although it's considered bottom tier among transcendent life forms, barely scraping the bottom, it still crossed the threshold of being transcendent. A homeroom teacher with analytical abilities commented, "Transcendent life form. A locust is still a locust, isn't it? Their overall combat power is just about on par with ordinary goblins, and in some aspects not even as good as goblins." Liu Lishan kept criticizing. Mr. Liu, that's one-sided. You can't always compare the locust's flaws with the advantages of other species. Let me ask you this. A locust swarm can expand 100-fold or even 1,000-fold in a year. Can goblins do that? Tianwen argued logically. I'm not going to argue over pointless things. Let's look at the results. There's a student in my class named Liu. His followers are goblins. I'm willing to bet Lu Mo's final score is definitely going to be better than Hanwu's. Are you willing to bet? Liu Lishan was frustrated, eager to find a reason to vent. Tianwen was fired up by those words. What's there to be scared of? Let's bet. I'm betting my student Hanwu will definitely score better than your Liu Mo. Liu Lishan flashed a cold smile. Everyone present is a witness. If I win, my demands aren't much. Just 5 points of divine faith. Surely you can afford that. Tianwen replied, and if you lose, you'll owe me 5 points of divine faith too. No problem. It's settled then. Liu Lishan agreed on the spot. He was extremely confident, because Liu Mo is his own nephew, to prepare for the standardized exam.
He secretly gave Lu Mo lots of resources and guidance.
He was hoping his nephew would make him proud. He never believed Tianwen would give the newly transferred student that much extra resources. As the two homeroom teachers set up the bet, the elimination stage of the assessment was coming to an end. Out of over 700 candidates, only 430 passed. The pass rate barely reached 60%. The homeroom teachers and the Halo Wheel all looked pretty grim. These results are not exactly impressive. Then, when it came time to decide on the ranking assessment, another 130 students directly chose to quit. These cowardly losers. A notoriously hot-tempered homeroom teacher cursed. Don't blame the students. This standardized exam is super tough, so it's normal for some to quit. The students who survive these grueling wars are exactly who we should target for training in the future. The homeroom teachers all started the ranking assessment. The evaluation begins now. An emotionless mechanical voice sounded. Along with the remaining 300 students, including me, I stepped toward the massive portal. A thick atmosphere of misfortune emanated from it. Along with the creaking sound of bones grinding together, something began to emerge from inside. I stayed behind to continue the exam, and couldn't help feeling a bit nervous. Soon the invading outsiders revealed themselves. They were walking skeleton warriors, a total of 100,000. The homeroom teachers and the Halo Wheel, as well as all of us being assessed, all widened their eyes. Everyone simultaneously exclaimed in awe. Well, as everyone knows, skeleton warriors are the lowest tier monsters, and in the realm wars, they're basically expendable cannon fodder.
Plus,
This first wave is obviously just the lowest basic monsters. Not even a single elite among them. This point is practically a freebie. Those 130 students who quit must be full of regret. If only they'd known. The next enemies would be nearly powerless skeleton warriors. They would never have dropped out. But there's no such thing as regret medicine. Those who quit can only blame their own cowardice. In the Divine Oracle, I watched the overwhelming number of skeleton warriors cautiously. I felt a bit troubled. The ranking assessment enemies are skeleton warriors. This result is both good and bad for me. Good because skeleton warriors are weak. Even explosive locusts can easily defeat them. Bad because they barely have any meat. And certainly aren't enough to feed my swarm. Within my divine domain, are over 1 billion starving locusts, all waiting for fresh flesh to trigger their next evolutionary leap. Well, I have to fight, I sighed. Issued the divine command to attack. Ordinary locusts may be weak, but when over 1 billion are gathered, their destructive power goes exponential. A dark cloud crashed into the skeleton warriors. Countless skeletons were tossed and smashed. And just as many locusts were squashed into pulp. The scene was basically a battle of weaklings. Not much actual damage, but super dramatic. 2 hours later, the fight ended. The ground was littered with corpses and bones. The locusts, driven mad by the law of gluttony, had to devour their fellow locusts' corpses to advance, not wanting my domain polluted with bone shards. I ordered the locusts to clean the battlefield. All the skeletons were thrown into the giant furnace built by the fire dwarves. Burned away. I barely had time to rest when the second wave of skeleton warriors arrived, still 100,000 strong, but now mixed with elite monsters ironbone skeleton warriors. To fight them, I couldn't let ordinary locusts just die anymore. The combo of explosive and magma locusts went to work again. Explosive locusts handled distraction while magma locusts triggered volcanic self-destruction, dishing out massive damage and leaving scorching magma zones. Even ironbone skeleton warriors can't survive long in that. Soon, I crushed the second wave of attackers. After seeing the effect of the magma field, I had a new idea. I decided not to let the magma cool down. Periodically, the magma locusts would spray fresh magma on top, keeping it hot. At the same time, the fire dwarves were ordered to smelt large quantities of ore in giant furnaces, turn it into red-hot molten metal and pour it onto the field. This method transformed the area outside the portal into a literal death zone. The temperature got high enough to vaporize flesh instantly. Skeleton warriors flooding out of the portal were wiped out by the heat before even invading. Truly pitiful. Meanwhile, I kept guard outside. Let Zantitang Feng keep an eye on the ones who slipped through the net. Third, fourth, fifth waves, whoever comes, dies. My points keep going up, easily breaking into the top 30 in the grade. Meanwhile, inside the golden light wheel, the homeroom teachers monitoring saw this scene and exclaimed, "Holy crap! This young person's ideas are really unique." Others fight skeleton soldiers relying on gear and rolls. But I fight skeletons by straight up building volcanoes to block the gate. These ideas are truly way ahead of my classmates. And they're effective fast. The efficiency is off the charts. What's so impressive about that? It's just making it to wave 7. Liu Mo from our class also made it to the 7th wave, Liu Lishan said unwillingly. The homeroom teachers projected their divine sense into Liu Mo's god domain, all over the crushed bones. All Liu Mo's goblins. Each almost has a bone club weapon. Not only that, he also built a life leap route. Regular goblins meet the standard and can be promoted to elite life big goblin. What's even more shocking, Liu Mo's god domain was packed densely with buildings. 13 level 1 sword towers, 9 level 1 lightning towers, 12 level 1 fireball towers alone. The total value of these buildings is no less than 10 million divine power. All the teachers sighed this kid's family must own a mine. Liu Lishan was smug. Luno is his nephew. The scale of this god domain is all thanks to him secretly funneling resources as uncle. Just so his nephew can be first and make himself look good. He hadn't even been happy for 3 seconds. Everyone was attracted to the battle in another god domain. In Qin Shuang's god domain, a full 100 level 1 lightning tower stood tall. 30,000 innate elite thunderbirds, and 100 extraordinary life forms. Ancient tree giants assisted in battle. More terrifyingly, a hero has already appeared in the core bloodline. A golden crowned thunderbird among the life forms. The invading skeletons, no matter the level, can't last even 5 seconds before they're drowned in raging lightning. The Qin family's heiress sure is strong. Can't compete. Others have a mine at home. Qin Shuang has a home in the mine. Absolutely ruthless. Even as a demigod, I don't have as many trump cards as her. I heard before Qin Shuang was top 3 in the grade. Now seeing this. First place in the grade is just like this, huh? Hearing colleagues praise, Liu Lishan was bleeding inside. Qin Shuang used to be his student. That achievement should have been his. It's all Han Wu's fault. Everything is Han Wu's fault. I will definitely make him pay. Liu Lishan's resentment toward me has turned into a deadly grudge. The homeroom teachers didn't notice his feelings and continue to select outstanding students. Zhang Zhoulong, Su Sun, Huang Fei. These are all top students with a chance at the top 10. As the ranking assessment continued, the 10th wave of invasion ended. 18 students are still holding on. I am one of them. The 11th wave of invasion is about to begin. The difficulty will increase drastically. All students, please mentally prepare yourselves. The emotionless mechanical voice spoke to the 18 of us. I immediately became alert, staring intently at the portal. I saw a figure slowly walking out of the portal. When the class advisors in the golden halo saw that figure, they collectively shouted, "Holy crap!" Because the invader in this wave was unexpectedly a heroic life form. Ordinary heroic life forms wouldn't usually make the class advisors lose their composure, because countless facts have proven that even a heroic life form as strong as Iron Cutter Tang Feng cannot withstand a siege from a massive number of followers. But in this ranking assessment, the heroic life form that appeared was different. His overall strength was very weak. It could even be said that he was at the very bottom among heroic life forms. If he were placed in a specific environment, the power he could unleash would increase 1,000-fold, approaching the level of a higher-tier Lord life form. And that specific environment was the Bone Controller. Race, Skeleton Tribe. Grade, Heroic Creature. Talent, Bone Manipulation. Bone Aggregation. The moment the controller invaded the God domain, the bone fragments scattered on the ground seemed to be drawn to him, flying toward him one after another. The 10 waves of skeleton soldiers added up to over 1 million, producing enough bone fragments to pile into a mountain. Under the controller's command, countless bone fragments aggregated and transformed, condensing into a mountain-like bone giant within 3 seconds. As the bone giant took shape, it unleashed astonishing destructive power. A punch could shatter mountains, and a stomp could crack the earth. The candidate's followers, who previously held the advantage, suffered devastating blows one after another. In less than 3 minutes, 8 students suffered heavy losses among their followers and were forced to withdraw. The remaining 10 students were still putting up a stubborn resistance in various ways. But the God domain screen of one particular student left the class advisors present at a loss for words. That student was me. In my God domain, a heroic life form, the Bone Controller, had also broken in. However, he failed to show any great power after entering. Instead, he was chased by the fire from my man-made volume, Keno, until he was scurrying away in panic. This was because there were very few bone fragments in my God domain. Most of the fragments had been eaten as snacks by the locusts, and the rest had long been melted into ash by the lava. Without the support of bone fragments, the Bone Controller's combat power was pathetic. He was chased and hacked into 18 pieces by Iron Cutter Tang Feng. Bones from some key parts were even dragged away by the red fire dwarves, planning to forge them into faith equipment. As a result, I unexpectedly became the first of the remaining 10 to easily clear the 11th wave of the invasion. In the halo, Liu Lishan, witnessing all this, was utterly furious. The fact that I defeated the boss so easily made him extremely displeased. The other class advisors were also skeptical, because the way I handled the controller was too effortless. It made people wonder if I had stolen the exam questions beforehand. This is cheating. It's definitely cheating, Liu Lishan shouted. I protested, and Tian Wen naturally had to support me. Tan Wen, you are shielding your student. Watch out, or I'll report you to the educational authorities, Liu Lishan threatened. You are openly slandering my student, claiming he cheated. Do you have any evidence? Tan Wen said, refusing to back down. Liu Lishan snorted coldly. You need evidence? Everyone here can see clearly. Who couldn't tell? Han Wu's abnormal behavior while fighting the skeleton soldiers. I ask you, who would actively clean the battlefield after defeating skeleton soldiers? Unless that person knew in advance that a controller capable of manipulating bones would appear later. Cleaning the bone fragments on the battlefield can effectively reduce the controller's strength. I strongly suspect Han Wu knew the exam questions beforehand. This is a serious act of cheating. The school must investigate thoroughly. Tan Wen was left speechless by the counter-argument. Although he believed in my character, he also felt that this was too much of a coincidence. Just then, Su Mei, the dean of students, stepped forward. Regarding Han Wu's results, let me say a word of fairness. The content of this unified exam was set by the principal, right before he departed.
Even I?
Didn't know the specific details before the exam started.
If
Student Han Wu knew the content before the exam, there is only one possibility, that the principal leaked the questions to him. She scanned the room coldly. Teacher Liu, do you think the principal would do something so foolish? That final question caused a layer of cold sweat to break out on Liu Lishan's forehead. If he continued to insist I stole the questions, it would be equivalent to suspecting the true god-level principle of helping me cheat. The majesty of a true god is not to be questioned. Liu Lishan couldn't afford that risk, so he could only change his tune. Perhaps I was mistaken. Student Han Wu relied on his own luck to defeat the controller. Even if student Han Wu didn't cheat, his results are still highly questionable, and it's very unfair to the other students. The other class advisors also looked at Su Mei. My sudden rise made them realize there was a crisis. Only by suppressing me would their students have a chance to stand out. Hearing Liu Lishan's words, a hint of a sneer appeared on Su Mei's cold and elegant face. Teacher Liu, as a demigod yourself, do you realize how ridiculous your words are? The Oracle civilization cultivates seeds by never focusing on fairness, but on the survival of the fittest, no matter what student Han Wu relied on to achieve these good results. As long as he didn't cheat, these results belong to him. As for the fairness you mentioned, do you think that using your authority to privately divert resources to your nephew, Liu Mo, is fair to the other students? Student Qin Shuang's family donated tens of millions in divine power. Is that fair to the other students? Liu Lishan was instantly speechless. He never expected that his well-hidden nepotism was already known to Su Mei. You bastard, so Liu Mo is your nephew. No wonder you wanted to bet him against me. Only then did Tian Wen realize that Liu Lishan had set a trap to screw him over. But on second thought, and my easy passing performance, he became happy again. There's a saying about shooting oneself in the foot. My student Han Wu has already passed the 11th wave. Your nephew, Liu Mo, trying to pass the 11th wave. The difficulty will be unexpectedly high, won't it? Liu Lishan hurriedly looked at Liu Mo's screen and saw the massive bone giant controlled by the controller, wreaking havoc in Liu Mo's god domain. A large number of buildings were destroyed, and countless elite hobgoblins were killed. After Liu Mo withstood several attacks from the bone giant, he really couldn't hold on any longer, and was forced to declare failure and withdraw. His rank was fixed at 7th in the grade, which was already quite good. But it was far behind mine. The result of the bet is out. My student, Han Wu, passed the 11th wave, while your nephew, Liu Mo, failed to pass it. Teacher Liu, all the teachers present are witnesses. The bet of 5 points of divinity. You won't go back on your word, will you? Catherine! Tan Wen was in high spirits. Liu Lishan really wanted to just walk away, but he couldn't afford to lose face like that. Out of desperation, he had no choice but to grit his teeth and withdraw 5 points of divinity from the oracle, condensing them into a card and handing it to Tian Wen, while not forgetting to warn, Mr. Tian, please keep these 5 points of divinity safe. One day I will take them all back. Tan Wen took the card without hesitation and replied, thank you for your divinity. I will never let that day come. The ranking test was still ongoing. After dealing with the controller, I waited for quite a while before the 12th wave of invasion arrived. The one leading was still a heroic life form. Following behind the controller were 10 extraordinary skeletal knights. I deployed Zantai Tangfeng and 20 explosive plague locusts, and easily dealt with this wave. But it wasn't so easy for the other students. They hadn't even finished cleaning up the remains from wave 11 when another round of controllers and knights arrived. The psychological shadow cast over these teenage prodigies was unusually heavy. They were probably complaining in their hearts, why is this happening again? Is it never going to end? Unable to withstand the enormous pressure, Another 3 students quit the test while grumbling. At that point, the top 3 were set, Qin Shuang and Huang Fei. In the 14th wave, Huang Fei's core followers suffered heavy losses, so he chose to withdraw and happily secured 3rd place. In the 16th wave, Qin Shuang's core followers, the Thunder Sparrows, collectively perished. Most of the lightning towers were destroyed, and 6 ancient tree giants fell in battle. Realizing he could not win, he voluntarily withdrew, and I automatically became number 1 on the ranking list. But since I was completely focused on defending, I was unaware of this. The test was still ongoing. In the 20th wave's portal, the controller once again appeared first, except this time there were as many as 5,000 skeletal knights behind him. But in front of the explosive plague locusts, the massive numbers became a fatal weakness. A series of explosions rang out, and the packed skeletal knights suffered not only from intense heat, but also from collateral damage as their companions were blown apart. After several rounds of bombing, the 5,000 knights were blasted to pieces. The controller tried to gather bone fragments for a counterattack, but was targeted by Zantai Tong Feng and sent straight to the afterlife with 1 iron-slicing slash. The remaining knights were picked off one by Zantai Tang Feng and the Redfire dwarfs through guerrilla tactics. An emotionless voice rang out once more. The 21st wave of invasion is about to begin. Difficulty will increase dramatically. Students, please be mentally prepared. As soon as the announcement ended, the portal suddenly expanded to 4 times its original size, and a dense aura of death came pouring out. The temperature in the divine realm dropped sharply, as a magnificent white bone throne slowly appeared. Seated upon it was a skull lord, his bones white as jade, radiating an aura of dominance. 2 controllers stood respectfully to the side like attendants, and below the throne were 10,000 skeletal knights, each as strong as an extraordinary life form. Their current duty was apparently just to carry the litter. It's actually the Skull Lord. The homeroom teachers watching through the light rings gasped in shock. It's only the 21st wave, and a lord has already appeared. The existence of a life form of this level, even the demigods present might not possess it. The moment I saw the skeleton lord, I knew the challenge was over. A lord-level entity is absolutely beyond my current abilities. Even with every possible advantage, it wouldn't be enough. I decisively chose to abandon the exam. The instant I announced my withdrawal, a massive suction force erupted from the portal, pulling the invaders back. The holder and the skeleton knight didn't last even a second. They were sucked back to their original plane. Only the skeleton lord managed to resist for 5 seconds. During those 5 seconds, he didn't launch any attack. Instead, he violently snapped one of his own ribs and hurled it with all his might. That rib turned into a streak of light, escaping the suction's range, flying straight to the other side of my divine realm. Once he confirmed the rib had landed, the skeleton lord stopped resisting. He and his throne were teleported away. I watched, trembling with fear, afraid he might casually destroy my Zantai Tang Feng. Thankfully, everything was over. I was teleported back into the void. Looking up, a golden halo ascended, rising up a massive leaderboard. At the very top, my name was shining brightly. I am both astonished and delighted. I expected a good outcome, but never thought it would be this good. Soon after, the comprehensive scores for all 12 classes were announced. Tan Wen's class scored 252 points and took the top spot, 20 points ahead of second place, dominantly ascended as the number 1 elite class. Liu Lishan's class only scored 192, ranking 8th. Seeing the ranking, Liu Lishan was so angry he wanted to bang his head against the wall. If he hadn't switched classes, the honor of being number 1 would have been his. Now not only has his reputation plummeted, he even lost 5 points of immortal power. It's a huge loss for him. On the other hand, Tianwen was so ecstatic he was lost in joy. Some families rejoice, some families grieve. Those who failed the elimination round were directly expelled. They can never become gods. The 130 students who voluntarily withdrew were even more regretful. They could only watch others receive their awards. The ceremony began officially. First, students on the leaderboard randomly received a basic resource card. I got an iron ore card. It's worth at most 2 divine power points. As expected, there's nothing good when everyone gets one. Next, rewards for the top 100 were distributed. A territory in the divine realm worth 100 divine power. After careful consideration, I chose the most expensive terrain, dense forest, totaling 20 square kilometers. Dense forests produce timber. It's helpful for forging by red flame dwarves. Tall plants can also provide more food for locusts. It's the best value for the money. Top 50 get a level 1 holy artifact. Looking at the tens of thousands of artifact listings, my eyes were dazzled. Homeroom teacher Tianwen suddenly sent me a message. Hanwu. If I were you, I'd choose the level 1 artifact Poison Mist Pearl. That's basically giving away the answer. I decisively chose the Poison Mist Pearl. Top 30 receive a breeding card. Top 20 get a level 1 temple. Finally, I've made it to the high value stage. Top 10 receive a divine weapon worth up to 100,000 divine power. Zantai Tangfeng already has 4 great swords. No need for replacements. Locusts can't use them. This weapon is obviously intended for the red flame dwarves. I filtered by fire attribute and crying options. My eyes were locked on the most valuable one. Inferno Warhammer, worth 99,999. Divine power. Forged from the core of Inferno Hydra, a Lord-level entity. Minimum requirement, Fire-type hero. This Warhammer meets my conditions perfectly. The usage requirement is the only headache. I don't have a Fire-type hero right now, but if I lower my standards and pick a regular elite weapon, I'd feel incredibly unsatisfied, missing out on a chance to get free stuff from the school. Only a fool would pass it up. After much thought, I decisively chose the Inferno Warhammer. I'll just store it for now since I can't use it. Once the Red Flame Dwarves produce a hero, I'll use it right away. Top 5 get extraordinary seeds. Top 3 receive a Divine Realm Core level up. Finally, among the whole school, watched enviously by all the students, Director Su Mei personally handed me a card with a bit of divinity, giving it to me herself. At that moment, even Qin Shuang, who has family in the mines, was drawn in by the sight. No matter how wealthy someone is, no divine creature would ever say no to extra divinity. I stored the divinity card in my divine realm. The award ceremony for the unified exam concluded perfectly. Back in the classroom, homeroom teacher Tian Wen swept his gaze over the remaining 42 students in the room. The unified exam is a dividing line in high school. Those who remain, I believe, are all elites. After a round of motivational pep talk, Tian Wen announced loud and clear, "Now let's have the top 3 in our class come up to collect their class rewards." Under the gaze of the class, Qin Shuang and a student named Su Sun walked up. Class ranked low in year level. Lin Shuang was second in class, second in grade. Su Sun was third in class, fifth in grade. The talented Zhang Zhaolong was fourth in class, grade ranked. Still a pretty good result, just not among the class honorees. Tan Wen opened the class resource list, displaying it for everyone to see. He wanted everyone to witness firsthand how rich the rewards are for good results, to motivate those who follow. Han Wu truly shined in this unified exam, achieving first place. Class reward is 100 class points, and the right to choose any one item from the advanced class resource vault. Anything you want, Tan Wen announced. The students were shocked by the teacher's generosity. Class resources are in 2 types: general points exchange and advanced resources, specially approved by the school for elite students, not available for exchange with points. I scanned through the advanced resource vault list. There were only 6 items. Level 2 artifact, Giant's Fist. Level 2 artifact, Fountain of Life. Level 2 artifact, Black Iron Ore Core. Level 2 skill, Ice Projectile. Level 2 building, Goblin Tide. Extraordinary Creature Liger, 6 units of resources. Each has its own merits. After thinking for 3 seconds, I decided on the Fountain of Life. Fountain of Life can emit huge amounts of spring water infused with life energy to nurture life, improve surrounding environments. As long as it's placed in the divine realm, it will directly benefit my vast core clans. In the long run, its overall value far exceeds the others. Watching Tian Wen's face full of satisfaction, I didn't stubbornly pursue single-unit fighting power. but realized my strengths with mass troop growth, and chose to emphasize that. He really approved of this. After I chose my reward, Qin Shuang and Su Sun also accepted theirs respectively. Qin Shuang received 80 points, and level 2 building Goblin Tide. Su Sun got 60 points. And the extraordinary creature, Liger, the classmates who didn't get rewards in class, all looked at us with envy. After receiving the prize, I had just sat back down at my seat when I got a voice message from Su Sun. Han Wu, sell me that bit of divinity you got in the standardized test. I'll trade you 105 million divine power for it. Let's make the deal now. I frowned. Trading between classmates is normal, but his commanding tone was really off-putting. Another thing, divinity is condensed from 100 million divine power. Su Sun was actually willing to offer an extra 5 million divine power. His family must be ridiculously rich, but I don't think he's a prodigal. There must be something wrong with this offer, seeing that I didn't reply for a long time. Jusen urged, "Why are you hesitating? As long as you agree, the 105 million divine power is yours. That amount of divine power is enough for you to buy a locust, a path for life evolution, to change your own fate." His eagerness made me smirk coldly, making me even more sure there's a catch here. I refused. I just bluntly turned him down. 110 million divine power. If you pass up this opportunity, you won't get it again. I just replied with one word to show my attitude. Meanwhile, Su Sun was so mad he was gritting his teeth. His family has 19 demigods, plus one more, so saying their power reaches the heavens isn't an exaggeration. What does Han Wu's family have? Who gave him the guts to go against him? Han Wu. My grandfather is preparing to ascend to true God soon. He really needs divinity. If you sell me that bit of divinity, besides paying you with divine power, I'll owe you a favor to get the divinity. Su Sun sent another message, trying to be patient. I was honestly a bit tempted. 10 million divine power is a huge sum. With that money, I could greatly increase the number of locusts my divine realm holds by dozens of times. By then, would I still lack divinity? Just as I was about to agree, another private message came in. It was Qin Shuang, the divinity you got in the standardized test. I'll buy it for 150 million divine power. Do you agree? I was completely stunned. 150 million. That's a whole 40 million more than Su Sun offered. Is Qin Shuang really that loaded? And this price seems to far exceed the literal value of the divinity itself. Why would he pay 50% extra divine power to buy it? What's the reason? I couldn't help but ask. Isn't one unit of divinity worth exactly 100 million divine power? I quickly got a science-wide reply from Qin Shuang. You don't even know basic facts like this? 1 unit of divinity can indeed be condensed from 100 million divine power. But that's only if the god produces and uses it themselves, meaning using faith power generated by their own followers, and then condense it into divine power, which is then used to form their own divinity. If there's any faith power mixed in from other gods, the success rate of condensing divinity drops drastically. Right now, the market price of divinity is at 145 million. And it's hard to buy even if you have the money. After Qin Shuang's explanation, I instantly realized the true value of divinity. At the same time, I also came to my senses. That kid Su Sun actually had the audacity to try and lowball me. Who the hell could put up with that? I replied to Su Sun with a single word, scram. Upon receiving the reply, Su Sun was absolutely livid. He shouted at me not to think that just because I got lucky and took first place, I could be so arrogant. You just wait and see. I sold the divinity to Qin Shuang, and 150 million divine power was in hand. I'm finally rich now. It's just like a regular person suddenly winning a $5 million lottery. Overnight wealth, perhaps in the eyes of most people. My actions were like dropping a watermelon to pick up a sesame seed, but I don't regret it at all. With this divine power, I can vigorously develop my divine domain and nurture my followers. When the time comes, won't that bit of divinity just come right back? Returning home after school, I immediately rushed into my divine domain. I wanted to use all the resources obtained from today's unified exam and convert them into strength. A 20 square kilometer dense forest terrain was loaded into the divine domain. Connecting with the original woods, a level 1 temple was established. Built not far from the red fire dwarf camp, the fountain of life was placed on a patch of barren land. In time, nourished by the spring water of life, the barren land will surely become fertile soil. In addition to that, I also used the procreation card on the locusts, causing the insect swarm, which was already good at breeding, to surge in number again. After handling these, I picked up the divine weapon, the purgatory battle hammer, and that transcendent seed, and headed to the red fire dwarf camp. After this period of rest and recuperation, the number of red fire dwarfs has slightly increased, reaching 59 people. When there is no war, they mine and forge. Their lives are simple and fulfilling. My appearance made the red fire dwarfs incredibly excited. They all knelt on the ground, shouting praises. Looking at them, I sighed in my heart again. If only they were my core followers. I made a few polite declarations, and then bestowed the purgatory battle hammer. Continuing, I found the strongest youth in the crowd, bestowed the transcendent seed upon him, named him God Hammer, and encouraged him to be promoted to a hero soon. And lift this battle hammer, having received 2 great treasures at once. The red fire dwarfs were ecstatic. The entire group was promoted to piety believers. God Hammer, who received the transcendent seed, leaped directly to becoming a fanatic. I nodded with satisfaction, gave a few words of encouragement, and left. At this point, only the level 1 holy relic, the poison orb, remained, unused from the unified exam rewards. I had followed the suggestion of my homeroom teacher, Tianwen, when I chose it. But what exactly is it used for? Just as I was puzzled, a video call request came through. It was my homeroom teacher, Tianwen. I quickly answered, Teacher, it's so late. Is there something you need? I asked. Tianwen didn't beat around the bush, straight away mentioning today's unified exam. Regarding the question of who is more excellent between you and Liu Mo, one bet 5 points of divinity with Liu Lishan. The result was a total victory for me. I quickly congratulated him. Congratulations, teacher. Tyne Wen smiled. You also deserve credit for this stake, so I plan to share some with you. As he spoke, Tianwen opened his hands, displaying 2 items. One was the divine power card I was familiar with, a full 150 million divine power. The other was an egg emitting black demonic energy. The egg was still pulsing, seemingly alive. I won't need to introduce the card. I'll focus on explaining this demonic fetus egg to you, Tan Wen said patiently. This is something I got while fighting in the Outer Realms. It's a piece of battle loot, an egg personally laid by the Sky Demon Insect King. It was refined into a stillborn using a special secret technique. Though it's a stillborn, it can produce 10 liters of demonic fetus essence every day. Low-level insect races can consume this essence to be assimilated into the lowest level of sky demon insects. When you join the class, I said, I would help you complete the life leap of your core followers. This is the path I have mastered. Regarding the life leap of locusts, after hearing the introduction, my gaze toward the demonic fetus egg became fervent. I wasn't favored by the school teachers, mainly because locusts were too much like trash. If I could use this to complete the life leap and assimilate them into the sky demon insect follower race, their potential might not rival Qin Shuang's thunder swarm, but it would definitely reach the level of goblins or dwarfs. Choose one of these 2. Think of it as your share from the bet I won, Tan Wen said. I didn't hesitate and decisively chose the demonic fetus egg. I had to secure this life leap route for my locust core followers. Seeing that I chose the demonic fetus egg, Tan Wen nodded with satisfaction. He added, Sky demon insects have a high compatibility with the poison attribute. You can load that level 1 holy relic, the poison orb, onto the core. The result will definitely satisfy you. My eyes lit up immediately. Thank you, teacher. I will not let you down. Tan Wen gave me a gratified look and prepared to hang up the call. I suddenly called out to him, continuing to ask, Teacher, please wait a moment. I want to ask, do you have a channel for a large amount of meat? It's fine if the meat quality is a bit poor. The meat provided in the mall is way too expensive. This was something I had to do. The effect of the law of gluttony was too domineering. The locusts in the divine domain had all turned into gluttons. With the surge in numbers, relying solely on the production within the divine domain, simply couldn't fill their appetites. Tan Wen was puzzled at first, but then he came to understand. In the exam, I had commanded the locusts to devour flesh demons. If you want to use meat to feed the locusts, I advise you not to use meat purchased from the mall. The cost is too high, and the return is very low. Tan Wen advised. Recently, the principal has been conquering a demonic abyss plane. There will surely be a large number of flesh demon corpses. I can ask about it for you. Then thank you very much, teacher, I quickly said with gratitude. Tan Wen nodded and hung up the communication. I hurried to set up the demonic fetus egg in the divine domain. The placed egg soon dripped its first drop of demonic fetus essence. I caught a locust and fed it to it. Instantly, bursts of demonic energy rose from the locust's body, soon turning into a black cocoon that wrapped its entire body. I waited nearby for 2 days of divine domain time before the black cocoon finally cracked open. An insect that looked 30% similar to a locust,
10 centimeters long,
with sharper mouth parts and a 5-centimeter horn on its head, emerged from the cocoon. Core followers, sky demon insects. Grade, common creature. Follower talent, cruelty. Faith level, fanatic. Faith power per day, life cycle 200 days. Although it's still a common creature, its strength is definitely 100 times stronger than a locust. Based on the fact that it can directly provide a day's worth of faith power, that much can be determined. At the same time, I also noticed, demon insects can't breed. This means every demon insect must be assimilated using demon larva essence. 1 drop of demon larva essence assimilates 1 insect. There are 20 drops in 1 milliliter. 10 liters equals 200,000 drops. If all goes well, I can steadily obtain 200,000 demon insects every day. And the newly born demon insects are also affected by the gluttony law. They start wildly eating as soon as they're born. After consuming 1,000 times their own energy, their size increases tenfold, instantly evolving into elite life forms. Finally, I tried loading a Tier 1 sacred artifact poison orb onto the domain core. In a split second, about 1 in 1,000 of the massive swarm of locusts mutated, turning into ones that could release trace amounts of poison. Locusts themselves aren't very useful. However, after the newborn demon insects were influenced by the poison orb, amazingly, more than 90% mutated, directly evolving into elite poison demon insects. Their strength soared. I couldn't help but sigh. Teacher Tan Wen was absolutely right. Demon insects and poison attributes are a perfect match. Meanwhile, in a certain plane of the abyss of magic, Principal Yinping was sitting with a troubled face. Although he was an actual god, he had also encountered tough problems. After 4 years of fighting in the abyss, the number of monsters slain by his followers is countless. But as the war went on, some minor issues piled up day by day and became big problems. Battlefields were littered with broken skeletons from the skeleton clan. Even after building dozens of incinerators, it was barely enough to make a difference. Excessive burning led to the followers developing lung disease and greatly shortened their lifespan. The most headache-inducing issue is the corpses of the flesh demons. These things are not easy to burn. Their flesh is poisonous. Even the beast herd tribe won't eat them. And if left on the battlefield, they'd release magic energy, triggering plagues. Sealing them in cards is just a waste of divine power. When the power runs out, they burst loose and pollute everything again. The principal was deeply troubled by all this. Just then, a galactic video request came in. It was homeroom teacher Tian Wen. He answered the video call, and Tian Wen appeared before the principal. Teacher Tian, do you need something? Tian Wen said directly, Principal, I called you unexpectedly by video because I wanted to ask you if you could provide corpses of flesh demons. I have a student who wants to buy them. Principal Yinping was interested when he heard this. What does your student want to do with flesh demon corpses? Tan Wen answered honestly. He plans to use them to feed his core breeding group. His core followers are locusts. During the standardized exams elimination round, they had eaten flesh demon corpses before, with no adverse reaction. As he spoke, Tian Wen sent the principal a related video from the exam. sent it to the principal. After watching the video, the principal's eyes lit up. This student, isn't he the little prodigy who dueled a demigod the other day? Didn't expect tiny locusts to have such abilities. He immediately sighed. But the survival conditions in the abyss aren't suitable for locusts. Otherwise, we could bring in a batch of locusts to eat them, and they would save us all kinds of trouble with flesh demon meat. So mysterious right after that. The principal ordered his subordinates to collect 1 million flesh demon corpses and seal them into cards. He had Tianwen hand them over to me. Consider it his way of supporting me. Just one day later, Tianwen once again sent a video invitation to the principal. The reason was that the flesh demons given yesterday had all been eaten. He needed more. It would be best to establish a long-term supply. The principal was shocked. Just how many locusts would it take to devour 1 million corpses in a single day? Amazed as he was, the principal was still quite pleased. Getting rid of the corpses was a good thing, but long-term supply couldn't be given away for free. Frontline has a massive volume of scrollers, and their daily consumption of divine power is astronomical. But since I'm the only buyer, the principal set the price really low. 1 divine power can buy 100 corpses. Minimum purchase is 10,000 divine power. At this price, he could just barely offset the divine power it took to seal the corpses in cards. After hearing the price from Tianwen, I shouted that it was cheap. This is hundreds of times cheaper than the meat sold in the shop. I immediately decided to buy my first batch, starting with 1 million divine power worth. With enough food at hand, the locusts in my divine realm exploded in population. Not only did their numbers skyrocket, their quality took a huge leap forward as well. The number of elite life forms in the divine realm started being counted individually. When the number of elite locusts reached the carrying capacity of the divine realm, I decisively activated the life sacrifice. A massive blood-red magic circle once again appeared above the divine realm. A total of 12 billion elite life forms. The locusts instantly shattered, turning into countless streams of life energy pouring into the formation. After the formation absorbed the last trace of energy, 3 options appeared in front of me. Option 1, 5 giant warrior extraordinary life forms. Option 2, level 3 skill stone, news reading. When loaded into the divine realm core, it allows followers to master basic news reading. It can also be handed to a hero for learning. Option 3, disintegrator to break down matter and extract pure energy. Seeing these 3 options, my eyes lit up. Those 12 billion lives didn't die in vain. The extraordinary giant warriors in option 1 are incredibly destructive. Selling just one would easily fetch at least 10 million divine power. The moment I saw option 2, I really wanted to choose it. Level 3 toxic explosion combined with demon bugs, plus a level 1 bio-poison pearl, is simply a perfect combo. Tens of thousands of demon bugs unleashing toxic explosions in the enemy ranks would leave scorched earth for thousands of miles, with no survivors. But my divine realm core currently isn't high enough level, and doesn't have an open slot to load it. Even if I picked it, I'd have to let it sit unused for a long time. As for option 3, at first glance it seems ordinary, but I could tell it was special. Extracting energy crystals. I've heard of this. It's the precious food for the spellbook race's followers. If I picked this one, I'd be making divine power while lying down every day. After thinking for a bit, I decided to go with the disintegrator. Time to make money in my sleep. To test its performance, I brought over 5 tons of iron ore and fed it in. The disintegrator started operating frantically. 5 hours later, 3 fist-sized energy crystals dropped out. They're iron crystals. They can be used as food for special races, or as forging materials. Each is worth 5 divine power points. Not bad, not bad. It's a nice and steady source. As you all know, I'm very satisfied with the disintegrator. Just then, a burst of prayer suddenly echoed in my mind. That's the effect of a level 1 temple building. It can send followers' prayers directly to me. The prayer was that when the Redfire dwarves were mining, they'd been attacked by an undead. 3 dwarves were injured, and their leader, Divine Hammer, was fighting the undead. They prayed for a blessing from the deity to rescue their clansmen. I immediately tensed up. How could there be undead in my divine realm? Right away, I sent my consciousness to check what was happening. I located red-fire dwarf chief Divine Hammer, and my divine avatar descended. I saw Divine Hammer fighting a skeleton, wielding a weapon, modeled after an Inferno Warhammer, a faith artifact, swinging it with great force. As for his opponent, it was a tiny skeleton only about a meter tall. Its entire skeleton was pure white like jade, crystal clear, like a work of art. It instantly reminded me of the Skeleton Lord, who appeared in Wave 21 of the national exam. The little skeleton and that lord were practically carved from the same mold, watching their fight patiently. I noticed the little skeleton's combat prowess was terrifying. Its bony claws clashed with the Faith Warhammer, yet could easily leave claw marks on the hammer, while the claws themselves were completely unharmed. Impressive. Instinctively, I used my divine authority to check its information, but I failed. The system prompted that the little skeleton was not my follower, and I had no scouting abilities, so I couldn't view its stats. Seeing that Divine Hammer couldn't win either, I quickly issued a divine order, sending Zantai Tangfeng to battle. Zantai Tangfeng really lived up to the title of hero, entering the fight as a life form, and smashed the little skeleton to pieces with a single whirlwind slash. But the broken skeleton instantly reassembled and recovered, and the little skeleton leapt right at Zantai Tangfeng again. And again, the little skeleton was shattered, but quickly reformed as good as new. But I sharply noticed that the second time it recovered, it took 1 second longer than the first. That showed that shattering it actually did cause damage. Sure enough, as it got smashed again and again, the little skeleton recovered more and more slowly, and got weaker as well. I took the chance to persuade it to submit to me. Believe in me and you'll gain new life. The little skeleton responded with a swipe of its claw, tearing my divine avatar apart. To show its resistance, I sneered, as long as the divine order isn't broken, my avatar can persist forever. Keep fighting. Fight until it submits. I issued the divine order, and Zantai Tangfeng and Divine Hammer executed it precisely. After 3 days of divine order time, Zantai Tangfeng and Divine Hammer brought a bunch of lusterless bones to the temple. A faint female voice began praying. Right in my mind, I'm willing to submit to the god. My divine avatar appeared in the temple, patting the little skeleton approvingly. Its smooth, round skull actually felt pretty good to the touch. I used my divine authority, and at last the follower's information appeared in front of me. Follower name, skeleton tribe, follower level, lord. Undead weakened. Incomplete, sealed, follower talent, Crystal Valley. Resurrected, faith level, semi-believer, faith power, 1 million days. I blinked hard, and found that there was no lifetime listed at all in the info panel. But thinking about it, that makes sense. The undead are dead things in the first place. How could they have a lifespan? What shocked me most was that the little skeleton in front of me, just a meter tall, actually was a lord. Although the life form is suffering from 3 layers of negative status effects, its essence remains intact. With proper training, perhaps he can regain the glory of a lord. Just as I was planning his future, a faint prayer echoed in my mind once again. No gods. I hesitated. He definitely can't eat regular flesh. He doesn't even have digestive organs. No medicinal bone material. The prayer became even clearer. I slapped my thigh. If you needed bones, you should have said so earlier. I issued a divine command, ordering the locust to bring a large amount of flesh. Demonic bones. The little skeleton rushed forward in a hurry, hugging a leg bone longer than himself, absorbing the bone energy within. It took him a minute to absorb it all. The bone turned into rotten wood. Meanwhile, the little skeleton's own bones now had a faint, smooth glow. I frowned. If he keeps absorbing at this rate, it'll take at least 3 to 5 days to recover even close to his previous level. Immediately, I ordered a large number of demon bones to be put into the decomposer to extract pure bone crystals. Soon, a fist-sized bone crystal was delivered to the temple. The soul fire in the little skeleton's eye sockets was jumping wildly. If the bones earlier were like bread, this bone crystal was a banquet. The gods granted. The little skeleton prayed eagerly. I then ordered the bone crystal to be bestowed upon him. He hugged the crystal, absorbing it intensely. The jade-like bones making up his body quickly regained their shine, and their brilliance followed me. You'll get even more bone crystals to absorb in the future, I assured him. The soul fire in the little skeleton's eyes danced furiously. His faith level suddenly jumped from a regular believer to a true believer. The daily power of faith offerings skyrocketed tenfold, reaching 10,000,001/10 of a divine point. I couldn't help but sigh. Lord-type lifeforms really are impressive. Even with a triple debuff, his faith output easily crushes millions of sky demon bugs. After settling the little skeleton, I noticed Tang Feng the iron cutter and divine hammer nearby, a hint of envy flashing in their eyes. These two are clearly jealous of the high purity energy from the bone crystals. As a god, I must treat everyone fairly. With a wave of my hand, I went straight to the store and bought wind and fire attribute ores worth 100 million divine power, instructing the decomposer to keep producing energy crystals of wind and fire attributes. Therefore, cultivating their kin. Whatever they can't use can be sold. So it's a guaranteed profit. The remaining divine power I keep for buying blood and flesh demons for the locust army. Once everything was handled, I checked the time. In the real world, it's 7:59 a.m. time to go to school. In the next moment, my figure was teleported to the classroom. A minute later, our homeroom teacher, Tian Wen, arrived, smiling and announcing, "Class, are you ready to face new challenges?" All the students sat up straight, listening carefully as Tian Wen continued, "The unified exam is over. Once again, congratulations to those who made it. You're all the elite. This upcoming assessment is the real test that will distinguish you all. The key of the drama might even affect which university you get admitted to in the future and have an impact." When I heard about university admissions, I raised an eyebrow. My grandfather's dying wish was for me to go to the chaotic star sea of Imperial Capital Academy to look for my missing parents. And Imperial Capital Academy is one of the top universities in the divine domain civilization. This assessment will be held on a group of microplanes controlled by the school. The danger level is relatively low, but that doesn't mean it's safe.
Next.
You will be teleported to Demon Abyss Plane C193826. The specific exam details will be emailed to you upon arrival. Tan Wen looked around at the seated students, then spoke out loudly. "You have 1 hour to get ready." As soon as he finished speaking, the classroom erupted into chaos. The Demon Abyss Plane. They say it's always filled with demonic energy. If familiars enter, there's a high chance they'll be corrupted by the demon energy, becoming mindless demonic creatures. Only demons and undead can survive there. I've also heard there are frequent undead outbreaks there. And the undead attack any living creature like crazy. Who could possibly withstand that? Who's familiar here is a demon? Please let me join you. The students wailed nonstop, frantically contacting their families to gather anti-demon items, doing everything they can to raise their safety levels. Meanwhile, on the other side, Zhang Zhaolong couldn't contain the joy on his face. His core familiar happened to be a demon. He had a natural and absolute advantage. He could already foresee that he would rise powerfully in this assessment. By then, guys like Han Wu and Su Sung could step aside. Just as he was about to show off to Qin Shuang and send her a team-up invite, an anonymous private message came through. "Zhaolong, it's me." It was Liu Lishan's voice. "What does Mr. Liu want from me?" Zhang Zhaolong asked in a low voice. "I need your help to eliminate someone." Liu Lishan's voice was filled with hatred. "Is it Han Wu?" "Don't worry. I'll go after him even if you don't ask." Zhang Zhaolong knew clearly. He had long heard that Li Shan lost because of me. 5 points of divinity. Enough to raise a junior demigod. What a fortune. No wonder you're the student I had my eye on. Since you're helping me, I won't let you suffer. Liu Lishan said this and sent an email. "This is your funding from me. Hold on to it first. It'll help you in the assessment." Zhang Zhaolong accepted the email and opened it up.
Inside
Was actually a card sealed with an extraordinary life form. Extraordinary life form. Demon Dragonkin. That's a powerful race on par with hero-class life forms. Zhang Zhaolong was so excited. He hurried to release it into his own divine domain. In a flash, the 1 hour prep ended. At Tian Wen's signal, the teleport began. We were collectively sent to Demon Abyss Plane C 793826, scattered randomly across different areas. As soon as I arrived, an assessment email popped up. I scanned through the info in 3 minutes and couldn't help blurting out, "Damn." Because this assessment is just brutal for students whose familiar races are weak in combat. It's just too cruel. Assessment requirements. Each candidate gets one chance to descend as their familiar avatar. If the familiar avatar dies, your true body will descend instead. If your true body dies, that's real death. Each candidate can only summon their familiars once per day, and only up to 100 familiars per summoning. Just based on these two rules, they've made it hell-level difficulty for my swarm rush strategy. This assessment is now at hell level. Assessment system, mission point system. The task list was packed with almost 500 missions. From exterminating tribes, gathering resources, to building factions, everything. The assessment ends when all tasks are completed or all candidates are eliminated. That's when the assessment is over. Example Task 1. Wipe out the skeleton barracks. Objective. Eliminate over 90% of the skeletons in Undead Basin, numbering between 8,000 and 10,000, ranging from normal to extraordinary class. Destroy the war banner. Reward 60 points, plus 1 random Tier 1 holy relic. At the end of the email was a super exciting ranking list. First place, 1 point of divinity. Second place, 1,000 class points. Third place, 500 class points. Top 10, 200 class points. Top 50, 100 class points. Top 100, 50 class points. Seeing such rich rewards, I got absolutely hyped. These rewards are nearly on par with our allies' benefits. Of course, I also understand. Big rewards mean extreme danger. The Demon Abyss plane is full of unknown dangers. Caution comes first, no matter what. Please choose which familiar avatar to descend as. The system prompt sounded in my mind, pushing me to make a decision. Immediately, 4 options appeared before my eyes. Seeing these 4 options, I thought to myself, this run is in the bag. Option 1, Locust Avatar. Option 2, Red Fire Dwarf Avatar. Option 3, Tangfang Clan Avatar. Option 4, Skeleton Lord Avatar. Weak, broken, and sealed familiar avatars. This was the result after tallying all the races in my divine domain, and giving me these choices. The self-destructing locusts were my first cut. Choosing them is a death wish. Red Fire Dwarves are stronger than locusts, but nowhere near as good as the Tangfeng clan. My real struggle was between options 3 and 4. Tangfeng clan is definitely a hero-class life form, with seriously strong combat ability, able to take on 1,000 by themselves. But option 4 is Lord class, a tier above hero class. What matters most is it's part of the undead, making it completely immune to the demonic aura in Demon Abyss, even though it comes with 3 heavy negative effects. Overall, its survival advantage still destroys Team Tangfeng. After thinking it over, I made my decision. I'm picking Skeleton Lord Avatar. In the next instant, my form shrank to 1 meter tall. My flesh disappeared, and only jade-like bones remained.
Now,
I literally looked just like that little skeleton. I patted my bald skull. The soul fire burned quietly in my empty sockets. The demonic aura drifting through the air doesn't bother me at all. In fact, it actually feels pretty good. Demon Abyss is a paradise for undead and demons alike. Just as I expected. Feeling content after choosing my avatar, I started summoning. The scroll assessment only lets you summon once per day, with up to 100 per summon. I started by summoning 100 elite gluttonous locusts.
testing the waters. As soon as the locusts arrived,
They were immediately corrupted by demonic energy. In less than an hour, 94 were dead. And out of the 6 left, 3 were half dead, while the other 3 got infected by the demonic aura, mutating into demonic locusts. As for the result, I saw it coming. For living things, demonic aura is like poison. If you don't want to die from the corruption, demonization is the only way out. But the price is losing your mind and turning savage. But for locusts, that doesn't make any difference, because they never had any intelligence in the first place. Even when corrupted, they will still faithfully obey my divine command. After waiting for the 3 locusts to complete their mutation, I officially began the assessment. Using the map, I confirmed my current location. Then I pulled up the task list. I picked out the 3 missions nearby. Task 49. Collect 100 ancient demon fruits. Reward, 20 points.
Task 280. Purge the flesh demon lair.
Reward, 60 points and a random tier 1 relic. Task 423. Mine 100 demon flame ores. Reward, 50 points and a random faith equipment. Out of the 3 missions, gathering bone demon fruit is the easiest. I've decided to start with that. Following the map's instructions, I led the 3 mutated locusts to a pitch-black forest. Black-skinned fruits grew on the trees. The ones with skull patterns were the bone demon fruits. Now I'm just a little skeleton, so it's not easy for me to climb trees. So I had the mutated locusts do it for me. After their mutation, their serrated teeth are even sharper. They're extremely fast. In no time, they bit off 100 of them. I piled them up together, sealed them into a card, and got ready to turn in the quest. Suddenly, a series of low growls came from underground. I looked down and saw corpses crawling out of the soil. Some were just bare skeletons. Others still had rotting flesh attached. Their whole bodies were surrounded by a greenish hue. And the stench, thankfully, I don't have a nose right now. Otherwise, I'd probably die from the smell. These zombies have no intelligence, only the instinct to attack. They were slowly shuffling toward me. I was actually curious to test the power of this lord's avatar. I raised my little bony claw and darted forward, directly stabbing through a zombie's chest. Zombies are undead, so they don't have vital organs like a heart. It even swung its arms, trying to fight back. But there's no way I let that happen. With a backhand swing of my claw, I smacked its head clean off. Only then did the zombie completely fall apart. I repeated the same method, quickly wiping out the 20 zombies that had crawled out of the ground. Only then did I get a brief moment of peace. Seriously, just getting 20 assessment points is this much of a hassle. If the max point task is 100 points, just how hard could that be? After turning in the ancient demon fruit for points, I searched the list again. Finally, I found a mission worth 100 points.
Task 500. Exterminate the dark frogman.
Demigod reward, 100 points, 1 divinity, and 1,000 class points. Turns out, the highest ranking mission is to kill a demigod. Definitely can't mess with that. Better stick to regular missions and keep racking up points. I immediately gave up on that idea. Even the weakest demigod commands at least tens of thousands of followers. Definitely not something I can handle with only 3 locusts right now. I'm in no position to take them on. I closed the list. I saw the 3 mutated locusts gnawing on the zombies, which made me feel a little nauseous. Even though I don't even have a stomach anymore. Looking back at the forest, there were still tons of ancient demon fruits hanging on the black trees. An idea popped into my mind. I came up with a plan. Immediately, I gave the order for the mutated locust to pick every ancient demon fruit in this forest. In the blink of an eye, a whole day passed and the forest was completely stripped bare. All the bone demon fruits are now in my hands, sealed into a card for every 100 pieces. I managed to collect 40 cards.
Task 49 is a shared task.
Everyone can complete it once. I can't submit it repeatedly, but other classmates can. Trade some supplies for 20 assessment points. I'm sure someone would be willing. Thinking of this, I opened the communication interface and entered the class group chat. Anyone buying 100 bone demon fruits for task 49? Trading for goods is also accepted. With that one message sent, the entire group chat was instantly silent. I waited a full 10 seconds. Didn't hear any warning from our homeroom teacher Teen Wen. Suddenly the chat exploded. You can do that? Is this cheating? This has to be cheating. You don't know anything. This is called resource integration. Han Master, I want a set of bone demon bones. I'll pay 50 divine power. Me too. I want a set. I'll pay 50 divine power. Only resources acquired within this plane are allowed. For trading, violators get a warning. First offense warning. Third offense warning. Assessment qualification revoked. Homeroom teacher Tian Wen finally spoke up. The rules are now set. The chat got even livelier instantly. All kinds of trade requests flooded the chat. 30 sets of dark digger skins. Trade for 1 bone demon fruit. Trade or not, 100 zombie fangs. Trade for 1 bone demon fruit. Trade 20 pieces of black death grass. Trade for 1 bone demon fruit. I'm begging you, get lost. Meanwhile, in another area, Zhang Zhoulong, transformed into a demon dragon, stared intently at the communication screen, a cold sneer in his heart. I was wondering how to find you. You actually announced your location? This time, let's see how you die. After finishing speaking, he rushed without hesitation towards the bone demon fruit forest. Behind him, 100 hellhounds followed closely, brimming with murderous intent. 40 bone demon fruit cards, exchanged for a good amount of other materials. I integrated these materials and completed 2 more tasks. Earned 60 assessment points. Now have a total of 80 points. Ranked 18th among over 400 students.
Temporarily leading.
But I know this advantage won't last. Main reason is my summoned followers are too weak. Today's 3 demonized locusts couldn't cause any real trouble. Trying to solo the flesh demon lair in this tiny skeleton lord form is pure wishful thinking. There are 8,000 to 10,000 flesh demons there. Even if they just stand still and let me attack, I'd be exhausted. If I could release all the followers from the divine realm, it would be great. If only I could let them all out. That would be so nice. I sighed helplessly. After the 3 demonized locusts finished eating decay, they started laying eggs. Each can lay about 100. But under demonic energy corruption, only 1 survives. Clearly, this reproduction rate can't form an army. Just as I was worrying, a squad of skeleton soldiers appeared around the woods. They came to pick bone demon fruits to enhance their strength, but found the tree had already been stripped bare. The soul fire in their skulls trembled violently. Obviously, they're panicking. If they return empty-handed, Lord Skeleton Knight will surely crack open their skulls, dig out their soul fire to make lanterns. As they were anxiously circling, I walked out slowly from the woods. Seeing me, the skeleton lord incarnation, they were instantly trembling in their bones. The awe from their soul fire was visible to the naked eye. All skeleton soldiers prostrated themselves fearfully, kneeling to pledge allegiance. It's absolute racial hierarchy suppression. Awe from the very soul. Feeling their reverence. Suddenly, the system panel jumped out in front of me. Follower name, skeleton soldier. Follower race, skeleton. Follower level, regular undead follower. Faith level, true believer. Faith power, 500 days. I was shocked, shouting damn in my heart. This actually works. For seemingly no reason, I suddenly had a dozen skeleton soldier true believers. Clearly, these skeleton soldiers think I'm the true skeleton lord and bow to me. I was just troubled by lack of troops. Might as well accept them. Seeing me accept their allegiance, the soul fires of the skeleton soldiers danced wildly in excitement. I expressed that I'd like to visit their camp. Skeleton soldiers immediately led the way. We walked for an hour. Arrived at a valley. Thousands of skeleton soldiers used it as their stronghold. My presence, for these regular undead, had a crushing spiritual intimidation effect. Didn't even need to make a speech. I easily gained faith from all skeletons in the valley. The stronghold leader, a skeleton knight, saw my incarnation. Though puzzled about my small size, still chose to submit without hesitation. After all, soul rank pressure can't be faked. I was overjoyed. Skeleton knights are extraordinary beings. Without a single battle, I recruited an undead army led by an extraordinary unit. Once again, I'm convinced. Choosing Skeleton Lord for my incarnation was the most genius move in this assessment. After surrendering, the Skeleton Knight's info panel was open to me. Follower name, Skeleton Knight. Follower race, Skeleton. Follower level, extraordinary undead follower talent, Ironbone Skeleton. Summoned faith level, true believer, faith power, 50,000. After recognizing me as master, through silent soul communication, he shared the current situation with me.
He originally belonged to a hero.
A controller among living beings, lost track of the main force during another battle with the flesh demons, separated from the army, was forced to camp here, but it's not safe here. They face zombie and demon invasions daily. Their skeleton soldiers decreased by the day. So he sent soldiers to fetch bone demon fruits to sustain life, or else they wouldn't survive a few days. After hearing the report, I fell into deep thought. Since this squad has submitted to me, it's my duty to make them stronger. For this, I soon came up with a plan. The first day ended. My points stayed at 80. Ranking dropped from 18th to 179th. Several classmates in the group chat were already sighing, thinking Hanwoo's era was over. I scoffed at that, ignoring it completely. I haven't even started yet. When it hit midnight, I got my second chance to summon followers. I communicated with the Oracle, summoned another 100 locusts. Meanwhile, exploiting loopholes, moved out a large batch of iron equipment from the divine realm, and ancient crystal stones, sensing the high purity, ancient energy emanating from the crystals. The skeleton knight stood there obsessively. The soul fire in his skull flickered wildly. I distributed the ancient crystal stones. The skeleton knight kept one for himself. The rest of the skeleton soldiers shared one. After absorbing the energy, the skeleton knight's bones became even more solid. His presence grew dramatically. But he was still far from reaching the hero level. As for the skeleton soldiers below, after absorbing the energy, dozens of them instantly evolved, advancing to elite status, living beings called iron-boned skeletons. After that, I distributed iron weapons brought from the divine realm. Once fully armed, the skeleton army's strength skyrocketed. Everything was ready. Finally, it was time for me to reap the rewards. I pointed my sword forward and issued the command, "All troops attack!" Target, the Flesh Fiend lair. According to the mission briefing, there are about 8,000 to 10,000 fiends in the lair, with only just over 1,000 skeletons under my command. A frontal assault is out of the question, but I have brains. Head-on fighting is a losing game, so we use guerrilla tactics. We'll wear them down bit by bit. That muscle-bound brain of the Flesh Fiend Lord would never figure out such a simple plan. Right away, I ordered an iron-boned skeleton to scout outside the lair. Sure enough, the Flesh Fiend Lord couldn't stand other races. Wandering on its turf, over 100 chased after it. They wanted to pound this bold skeleton into bone dust. The iron-boned skeleton followed my instructions and ran ahead, leading them into the trap. Then over 1,000 skeleton soldiers jumped out, 10 versus 1 plus a weapon beatdown. Soon, all 100+ fiends were wiped out. At this moment, the skeleton knight stepped forward, one by one facing the fiend corpses. Using the skeleton summoning skill, one by one, newbie skeletons emerged from the bodies of the fiends, becoming part of the skeleton army. I couldn't help but marvel. What a unique way for the skeleton race to recruit new members. After repeating this operation dozens of times, the skeleton army's numbers swelled to over 7,000. Meanwhile, the flesh fiends in the lair were down to about 3,000. I felt it was time for the final assault. But before launching the all-out attack, I handed out more bone crystal stones, boosting the number of elites in my ranks by another 800. Living beings, iron-boned skeletons. The now much stronger skeleton soldiers stormed the lair, carrying out organized smashing, looting, and pillaging. It took less than 3 hours to clear out all the flesh fiends. The skeleton knight searched the lair thoroughly and offered me a heart of flesh. I looked at the blood-covered, still throbbing heart, a bit disgusted, but at least it's a level 1 holy relic, capable of enhancing the physical strength of core followers. Although it's useless to locusts, I still bit the bullet and accepted it. Mission submitted. I received 60 assessment points. My rank rose to 108, but I'm not in a hurry. Once the skeleton knight converts all the corpses into skeletons, my total force will exceed 10,000. With enough followers, what do I have to worry about? Can't finish the mission? Meanwhile, Zhang, now transformed into the demon dragon, arrived at the forest where I was picking ancient devil fruit. He ordered his 200 hellhounds to search the area, but they only found a few dead locust eggs. Damn it, Hanwoo. Where the hell did that kid go? Zhang cursed. Then he noticed my ranking had changed. My points had instantly increased by 60. Combining the mission list, Zhang immediately deduced my location. Using the locust's advantage over flesh demons, I completed the mission at the flesh devil's lair. Hanwoo, you really exceeded my expectations. But your luck ends here, Zhang muttered, then turned around and charged toward the lair. He soon reached the lair, but saw it was heavily guarded by skeleton soldiers. Zhang Zhaolong felt confused. Weren't the locusts the ones who defeated the flesh golem? Why are skeleton soldiers stationed here? But when he saw my skeleton lord avatar, everything became clear. Damn you, Han Wu. Turns out you secretly raised a clan of skeletons, trying to use them to score well in this test. Keep dreaming, Zhang Zhaolong cursed to himself. He immediately commanded the hellhounds to attack. In the Devil Abyss, hellhounds get buffed. Their power is far beyond ordinary elite life forms. More than 100 regular skeleton soldiers outside the lair were torn apart before they could even react. The hellhounds then pounced on me. The surrounding skeletons were alerted. Their leader was under attack. They all rushed to defend him, forming a wall of bones, blocking the attack for me. Ironbone skeletons and skeleton knights inside the lair heard the commotion and poured out all at once. Over 1,000 elite ironbone skeletons, plus a single extraordinary skeleton knight. The scene was so overwhelming it shocked Zhang Zhaolong. And this is only the second day since our arrival. I've already gathered this much power. If we waited a few more days, who could stop him? Realizing the potential threat, Zhang Zhaolong made up his mind.
Today?
He had to kill me, right away. Zhang Zhaolong's demon dragon form charged in himself. His thick, armored body crashed through brutally. Ironbone skeletons were easily crushed. Only the skeleton knight could withstand that blow. But after several more hits, even its bones were badly shattered. Zhang Zhaolong suffered a bit of backlash, but still kept most of his combat power. He seized the chance to drive the skeleton knight away and faced me directly. I immediately recognized him as Zhang Zhaolong. Zhang Zhaolong, we have no grudge. So why are you attacking my followers? I demanded. Zhang Zhaolong replied coldly. I just can't stand you. Die. The demon dragon swung its thick tail, sweeping it fiercely, with tremendous force. Rocks along the way were all crushed to powder. I raised my claw to defend, but couldn't withstand that strength. My jade-like skeleton shattered and scattered across the ground. Seeing this, Zhang Zhaolong thought my avatar was dead. He waited a bit, but my true body never appeared. He assumed I was afraid of dying in the real world, and had chosen to drop out of the test. He couldn't help but let out a roar of excitement. With their leader gone, the skeleton soldiers' soul fire flickered violently. They seemed to go mad, fearlessly charging at the demon dragon. Skeletons may die, but their loyal souls remain. With their leader dead, the only way to honor the fallen was to kill every enemy. Zhang Zhaolong wasn't afraid of skeleton soldiers, but fighting them was pointless. These skeletons weren't part of the mission, so killing them was useless. He charged forward again, breaking through layers of defenders to retreat. The hellhounds also broke through the siege and followed him out. The skeleton soldiers who couldn't catch up had to head back to the lair, led by the skeleton knight, whose soul fire burned silently in its eyes, as if mourning for me. After all, in this devil abyss, there's no other lord who could have helped them improve this much. But just at that moment, my scattered bones began to tremble, as if there was some strange force instantly pulling them back together. This was one of the skeleton lord's innate talents, resurrection. After reviving, I couldn't help but sigh. Choosing skeleton lord was just so damn right. The skeleton knight still stood there in a daze. If he had a face, his expression would have been pure disbelief. Stop staring like an idiot. Gather all our forces and get out of here now. I knew I couldn't defeat the powerful demon dragon yet. If I wanted to stay in the test, I had to hide. Hide somewhere Zhang Zhaolong couldn't find me. Gather more strength. And get revenge once I was ready. Next time we meet, Zhang Zhaolong, it'll be the end for you, I said coldly. On the other side, after shaking off his pursuers, Zhang Zhaolong checked the leaderboard. Students who quit or died in the test dropped to the very bottom, marked in gray. On the second day, 10 students had already been eliminated, but Zhang Zhaolong didn't find my name at the bottom. Unconvinced, he scrolled through the main leaderboard and saw my name clearly ranked 163rd, which meant I hadn't quit the test at all. Zhang Zhaolong instantly realized. My skeleton avatar hadn't died. I faked my death, bastard. Han Wu, actually faked his death. Zhang Zhoulong hurriedly turned back, rushing for the lair. This time, even if he had to waste time killing every skeleton, he wouldn't let me escape. But when he returned with the hellhounds, the lair was empty. There wasn't a single intact bone left. It was obvious I'd anticipated his counterattack and ran off in advance. Search within 100 miles. Don't miss a single hole, Zhang Zhoulong ordered angrily. But who am I? After being tricked once, how could I give him a second chance? Right then, I was leading my army, fleeing as fast as possible in the opposite direction. We'd already gone 50 kilometers. After that fight, the skeleton army had taken heavy losses and dropped back to 5,000. I had to use more bone crystals to help them recover. After absorbing the pure bone energy, they not only recovered, they even evolved into iron bone skeletons. One even got lucky and evolved into a skeleton knight, now with 2 extraordinary beings as escorts. I felt much more at ease. But with just this small force, there was still no way I'd get a high score or catch the attention of the Imperial Academy. I had to think of something and fully develop my skeleton army. I pondered to myself and checked the mission list. Out of 500 missions, 60 were grayed out, meaning those unique missions had already been completed by other students.